Megan Fox.
And Megan Fox has the story.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox writes at PJ Media.
Eat Tucker.
And that was your last. Damn it, man. I cried for 2 days.
Megan, thank you very much for that.
So, I can explain the bed thing.
If you don't show up and vote, up your ass. I don't care if you're in the hospital. Crawl to the stake. Crawl there.
It's like Jesus going into the temple. He's like, I got a whip. Get out! Get out! The lovely and wonderful Megan Fox. Not that one.
Not that one. Not the weird one that drinks blood in his toe thumb.
Megan Fox.
Megan. And honestly, Megan, if you don't like it, I'm sorry.
She's the devil.
Megan Fox. Megan Fox.
I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that.
You've never met a like me. You want to tangle? You want to go? Holy sh**.
Too much cussing on this. I guess we didn't bleep it, so we got to turn it off. But it's
You pissed off the wrong woman.
oh my God, I have been assaulted when Megan Fox runs wild on you, brother.
She's the devil.
Not for publication.
The story.
I'm Megan Fox. Thank you. Cheers.
I see that everybody in the chat is in agreement. That intro is not long enough. I'm going to have to work on doing a 10-hour version of it. Anybody who, if you're new here, welcome to the show. I'm Megan Fox, and I'm coming to you live with a very special set of skills that we discussed yesterday. What are those skills? Well, I read legal documents, I cover trial cases, and I call out bullshit. That's right, bullshit. There's a lot of bullshit. Bullshit is everywhere. There's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of bullshit. And I'm here to just call it out, whether it's in the government or the media or a vexatious litigant, someone who is a toxic serial harasser. We will call it out here. Thanks for being here today. I have such a great show for you and a great big, exciting piece of news, which is this. I have not raffled off my books in a while. We are going to do it today. You can win a signed copy of Believe Evidence. I'm going to give away 3 or 4 of them, depending on how I feel today. Signed copy of Believe Evidence, The Death of Due Process from Salome to #MeToo, which is about the danger of simply believing allegations without looking into it, without asking for evidence, without going through our justice system, which is what we have been doing culturally for a while, which has been a bad idea. And I'm going to give you proof of that. So here's how you win a copy of this today. All you need to do is send in a super chat, a Rumble rant, a Cash App, or a Venmo. You can, it doesn't matter how much it is, and you can send in as many as you want. Each entry gets you, each super chat gets you an entry onto the wheel of names. It's ready to go. Let me show you. Here we go. We're getting ready to set up the wheel of names. And you had the deal is you got to stick around till the end of the show. I will spin the wheel then, and we will give away the books. And then all you will need to do is email me your address, and I will ship it to you. I will sign it however you want me to, and I will ship it to you. Coming to the program today, very special guest. I'm so excited about this show. I've been watching Dave Neal now for, I don't know, it feels like a couple weeks, but it's probably only been a couple days. Dave Neal is an incredible investigative journalist. I don't know if he calls himself that, but that's what he is, folks. He's been a podcaster, a stand-up comedian. He talks about the Bachelor entertainment news. You guys know me. You know I love trash TV. You know that I love The Bachelor. And we're having like a crossover moment where we're meeting each other for the first time. These different communities, the law community and the Bachelor entertainment community, is coming together over this case. And today I'm not going to say Voldemort or Beetlejuice's name because Dave here is trying real hard not to use her name. And so I decided I was going to use it, but I decided, nah, today we'll call her Jane Doe. That's fine, so we don't get confused. But we're going to talk to Dave Neal. He's here. Dave, thank you so much for being here.
How are you? It's not that I don't want to say her name. It just makes me throw up my breakfast. So for that reason alone, I'm just trying to keep my lunch down. Your intro was so good. I had glow sticks out. I think I popped a Molly. I mean, really, that was wild.
No. Every time someone, if you're new here and you complain that the intro is too long, I add 30 seconds to it. So
Yeah,
just want you to know.
Dance a little bit, limber up, because the story's gonna need some flexibility here.
It's absolutely, we're going to need to be warmed up before we get into this. Now, I don't know if you saw this yet, Dave, but I did publish right before this. It just published on PJ Media. I have a new article out. Let's bring it up here. Folks, clickety click for me, okay? If you can't send a Cash App or a Rumble rant or a Super Chat, your thumbs are not broken. Just like you can hit the like button for free, you can also clickety click on my articles over on PJ Media, which helps pay the bills. And we know we got to pay the bills because I got to start a little legal fund for Miss Litigious, who may or may not be contacting me. Although, Dave, I did, it's been like 2 days after me publicly mentioning her, and I haven't received jack from her. I'm a little disappointed. I feel kind of left out.
I think she likes to flirt with the guys. I think it's her way of dating is coming after us. And I tell her I'm married. I'm not interested. Leave me alone. But here we are.
Oh God, I feel, and also Legal Vices. You were on with Legal Vices, my good friend Jeff in Korea, and he has also not heard from her. And we have both invited her to give us her, complaints and all her list of grievances. We've invited that. We've given her our email addresses, but we have not heard from Jane Doe, although she has started to harass Liz. Why can I never remember? Neptune, who has a smaller channel, and she literally just made a couple videos reporting, just repeating what she's seen in the news. This woman, she's going after her like hardcore.
Well, I think for her, it's about going after people she thinks she can actually get to. And anyone who covers the law knows how just like ridiculous and frivolous it is. And for me, I mean, no one wants to, I was on my baby moon in the Maldives getting a cease and desist. Like nobody wants that. And, a lot of people, get fearful and cancel their articles and take off their videos. And I did briefly, I took a few videos down while I waited to see what I wanted to do. But I had a conversation with my wife. I said, it's a battle. We believe we're telling the truth and we're prepared to do that. But a lot of people don't want to deal with this. And I think I'm the first person that has covered this where we're able to keep sharing all of her bullshit. And because of that, it's like, like before this, she could silence a real estate guy or a finance dude, but like we cover this stuff and we cover things in Bachelor Nation, and she kind of entered my little niche of trash TV, as you put it. And
sorry.
No, I mean, hey, we love a good trash TV, and now we're taking out the trash. That's all we're doing is taking out the trash and finishing this story. It has to be finished.
Yeah, I agree. And also, you deserve so much credit for being so brave and sticking with it. A lot of people would have turned around and just said, this isn't worth it, and deleted this stuff.
I mean, I have
stopped,
Thank you. I have to credit my pal Reality Steve. He's one of the only public people that covered this as well. And all of the people behind the scenes that helped keep the barometer heading in the right direction and pushing for the truth. Because like, it does get a little lonely on the battlefield. I mean, no one was out there, and you're getting, she tried to get a restraining order against me, and she's taking me to court, suing me for harassment. It does get a little lonely, but then when all these people start donating to the legal funds, they want it's like, it's almost like a duty I have for them to make sure we finish this. And so because of that, the worst was a few months ago. It's kind of been sort of home stretch, light at the end of tunnel ever since then.
So let's start at the end and move backwards. I think that's what we should do. I think that makes more sense. Let's start with the absolute most recent updates, because I did up my I know I've got, if we have people here from the Reddit page, Justice for Clayton, they know everything about this story. And my audience, I've been doing a good job trying to catch them up on it before you got here, so we wouldn't have to spend, a bazillion hours covering every detail. But what's the most recent piece of news in this Clayton Echard versus Jane Doe paternity nightmare?
So the last chapter that we're dealing with is we got to see her hand and like what she's trying to do. She was accused up to several years ago of trying to sort of become the victim for her own podcast growth and podcast stories. She had a TEDx talk about, an ex-boyfriend that didn't end well. And what happened recently was
I deserve a prize, by the way, because I watched that entire thing.
Yeah, wild, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
you get a badge for that. So recently, she wrote an article about me claiming that she was cyber harassed. And you could kind of see in the article the framework of what her next plan would be, which is to claim victimhood. Everyone's out to get her, even though I've never said her name or shared her face. And she thinks everyone's out to get her. And because of that article, it pissed off the Bachelor Clayton and his law services so much that they said, we need to finish this case. We need to make sure it doesn't get dismissed, because this paternity case was about to go away, even though she claimed to be pregnant with his unborn twins. She smeared him so publicly with threats to go to law enforcement and all, and it got a restraining order against him and all these things, that they know if they let this case go away, they will be involved in her TED Talk in 2 years, where she or writes a book or whatever she decides to do. They know she's going to retell this story in a way that I think they all want the evidence and everything to be on the record that she's rewriting history here.
Yeah, I think that's great that his attorney, and here the other interesting point that I note is that his attorney is the same attorney, Echard's attorney is the same attorney that Greg Gillespie, another victim of hers, had. And in fact, in my article, let's go down here because this is interesting. So he got, oh, by the way, in this article, I put this the trailer to Fatal Attraction in it because I watched that last night. I went back and rewatched it because as I was writing the article, I was like, this is so Fatal Attraction. It's kind of scary. It's so similar. She has this affair with him. He doesn't want her. She then claims pregnancy. She then starts stalking and harassing. It is the absolute. I don't think enough people in Clayton's generation have been scared by this movie. They probably have never even seen it. I am giving an assignment. My audience calls me, I'm like the mom of the internet. I'm giving all of you out there who are born in like 1990 and on, you must watch Fatal Attraction tonight. It's on Amazon Prime. Please go and watch it and learn something, because I feel like every man in 1987, every man in America was completely like given a lesson when they watched this movie. They were terrified and they started acting way more careful when it came to the women they chose to get involved with, simply because of this movie. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up because it's important, and I'm giving you an assignment out there. If you haven't seen this movie, you need to go and watch it. All right, speaking of Greg Gillespie, so here's some new documents. Well, they're not new, they're a couple years old, but they showed up on Reddit, and this is unbelievable. Let's look at this. So you guys think, let's share this instead. This is a text message that Jane Doe sent to Greg Gillespie with an image of a sonogram that says, looks like you're going to be a dad to 1 or 2 babies. Was sick enough to go to the clinic this afternoon and had to get an ultrasound to make sure I wasn't having an ectopic pregnancy. I wasn't. I found out that I've been pregnant with twins. Looks like one of them passed or isn't doing well, probably because of the medicine I took. I had the option of a surgical abortion and elected not to. If I'm going to go through this on my own, I will let God decide if he wants both, one or none to be born, and the kid or kids would deserve to know their father's side of the family.
Now,
This,
yeah,
yeah, go
just so
ahead.
you know, I let God tell me that He thinks I should continue sharing all of this nonsense. God wants to protect the
Yes.
victims and the actual people out there. She claims now that this text message was a hacked text message, that because she claims I never claimed they were twins. But what we know now in hindsight is that she didn't believe that there was a neonatal testing for paternity if you have twins, and of course now there's some new technology out there. So that was part of it, is saying, oh, if I have twins, I can't necessarily say he is or isn't the father. He'll just have to take my word on it. And I think, I'm not a neurologist, but I feel like when you're in fear, like that, like Greg must have been afraid, oh my gosh, am I the father? If you're in fear, you probably stop thinking rationally, and you see these big words, and you're not in the medical field, and topic, what does this mean? Maybe, and that this is like a textbook definition of gaslighting. Of course, this text message, this ultrasound, came out to be reverse Google search to 2015. And I believe it was slightly stretched or distorted. If you look at the bottom one, I think it was slightly stretched as a way to think maybe it
Oh,
wouldn't.
it's absolutely the same image. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. It's the same image.
And the same thing she
It was
did.
taken from a blogspot.com called I Still Believe Vanishing, a vision from 2014. So her sonogram, the sonogram that she gave to Gillespie is the same. It came from a 2014 blog post.
And this is why she wants these documents sealed, because, on a one-on-one level, she's able to kind of sniper people off. And who wouldn't believe it? Who's faking ultrasounds? But when you start bringing in, like we call them, the flock, the investigative, independent, ragtag journalists that are behind the scenes that have provided me a lot of this information, shout out to them, they are able to look at things. I mean, they dug really deep in Clayton's case and saw that her ultrasound video was actually from 6 or 7 years ago. And then I was able to edit it to show what she included and took out, because she actually took like a 2-minute long video and cut out half of it that would have kind of like changed her narrative, and we were able to show that it was completely fake. And she said that Greg also has an axe to grind, and he hacked her accounts, even though we clearly show she uploaded it to her Dropbox. It's got her full timestamp footprint all over it. She was getting away with this. People look at this now, they go, this is so obvious. She was getting away with all of this multiple times.
I think, yeah, if you're having trouble catching up, we're showing you the evidence from from another man she did this to, not Clayton Echard, who's a former bachelor, but she did this to Greg Gillespie before that. This is like in 2021, 2022, I think. Is that correct?
2021, yeah.
Yeah, 2021. This is and it's almost the exact same story. So yesterday, when I went through the November hearing with you all, and Echard's lawyer was trying desperately to get this evidence in front of the judge, saying, "Judge, she did this exact same thing to another man, and it's relevant." And the judge wouldn't listen to her and didn't want to see it. I was outraged by that. Outraged,
how
because
great
it's absolutely relevant.
How great is his lawyer? She was like really pushing for it 3, 4, 5 times. I mean, I don't follow the things this closely, but I was like, wow, she's not accepting the judge's reasoning.
No, because she even kept it in her closing arguments. She even continued to say it during her closing arguments, even though the judge said she wouldn't look at the evidence. She continued to say it, and I thought she was a bulldog. She reminded me very much of Camille Vasquez. Actually, she was. She seems like a really great attorney. I'm glad that he finally has somebody. But I mean, this is the type of thing. This woman is dangerous. She's done dangerous things. And if you don't think this is dangerous, this is a letter that she sent in during Greg Gillespie's case, that she was dragging him through court for 4 years, it looks like, alleging all sorts of crazy things, coercive abortion, etc. Here's a letter she sent. I wonder if I don't think I can get closer. I'm going to try. I'm so bad at this. IT Goatee Brad You need to teach me how to get closer in Twitter. I can't. It's too small. But here, I got the judge in this one tells her, you can't be emailing me because that's ex parte communications, right? Well, now look what I've done. See, now look what I've done. This is unbelievable. I have the worst luck with this. There we go. I fixed it. I blew it up because I knew this would be a problem.
You really are everybody's mom here. You got
I am. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I had to one of my audience members had to come in and save me. IT Goatee Brad he helps me with these things.
No, you're doing a great job. This is fantastic.
This is a letter that she wrote to the judge, and you're not supposed to. You can't send ex parte communications to the judge in the Gillespie case. On March 4th, she writes, 2022, I was drugged, violently assaulted, and raped. I have strong reasons to believe that both the defendant, Gillespie, and his counsel, Mr. Woodnick, were involved. There is a pending FBI investigation regarding the incident. To my knowledge, neither defendant or his counsel are aware that they are being looked into. She accused the defendant's counsel, a member of the bar, who is also now Echard's lawyer. He's got her number. He knows what she has been up to, of this awful thing. And where's the evidence that she was drugged and raped and violently assaulted?
Yeah, I mean the horse ate the evidence. Maybe, I don't know. It disappeared here. But so what's interesting is Greg Woodnick ended up withdrawing from this case, I believe. And look, you have to understand, he's not making any money off of this case. He's probably giving him a huge discount. It was kind of one of those just interesting cases they were covering. My guess is if I were Greg Woodnick and this was happening, my guess is my wife would be like, you got to get out of here. This lady's going to ruin your career. Just get out of this. It's not worth the money. It's bad for the family. And so he leaves. That's just my guess. I don't know. I'm not saying he doesn't have principle and all those things. He's done a fantastic job, but the juice wasn't worth the squeeze here. But when Clayton's case came up, my guess is Greg Woodnick was like, this has to stop. We already saw this happen before. And then once that pattern came out, it's almost like he's doing, Clayton a favor here, probably working very cheap to just make sure justice is finally served. Because you can't be having this. It's going to happen again and again.
In order for justice, though, to actually be served in this case, she is going to have to be taken to civil court and sued for what she did in these, but he's not going to get any justice in family court. They're just either going to say yay or nay, and she'll have, even if they find that she faked a pregnancy, there's no what's the word I'm looking for? There's no punishment for that. Maybe she'll get sanctions. I mean, they have filed a motion for sanctions. Maybe there will be sanctions or attorney's fees. But if he really wants to go after her, if these two, including, and the lawyer should sue her too for this ridiculous ex parte communication to a judge. Like, where is her evidence for this? You can't go around accusing people of heinous crimes. You can't do that. That's called defamation.
Yeah. And especially with the motive here too. And by the way, it worked for her because for months she was emailing me telling me Greg is clearly lying. Why else would his lawyer leave the case? I mean, she not only got away with this for a while, she was using it to silence people like me, to say, clearly I'm telling the truth. I have a restraining order against him. His lawyer dropped him, when in fact, now we know she's had a dozen lawyers. Most of them have dropped her. So, but boy, she's convincing on a one-on-one level. It's convincing because most people live in a kind world where they believe others. And it's the fact that she is taken away a piece of everybody's honest nature, because now people are questioning reality because of her in an otherwise world where people don't lie about this type of stuff.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. I know that there's different ways of looking at this, and I come from obviously a position of I don't believe anybody until I see the evidence. Now, if you're a friend of mine and you come to me and you say this, I was assaulted, I believe you and I'm here for you and I support you. If you then say, and I want you to write an article about it and go after my attacker, I go, okay, let's look at the evidence. What do you got? And I think there's a difference between the two. I think we can be a compassionate, compassionate human beings and believe our friends and our loved ones about what they say has occurred. But when we are asked to then put our own reputation on the line and truth on the line, we need to be careful and look at evidence. I know that, look, the Justice for Clayton Reddit page is wonderful. They're doing an incredible, great amount of work over there, exposing this type of horrible attacks that Echard and Gillespie have gone through. They're doing great things, but they're not real happy with you being on this program, because I come from a different political spectrum than perhaps some of them do, and they feel like I'm the wrong kind of woman to talk about this case. Well, look, we can agree to disagree, that there is a right or wrong kind of woman, first of all. And also, I don't see the people on the left who they are really wanting to take on this case. I don't see them doing it. Where's Rolling Stone? Where's Variety? Where's ET? Where are all these publications that you want to cover? And they're not doing it. It's like, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. If I say I'm willing to cover it, and I have a very long track record, by the way, 20 years of covering corruption in court cases and family court and abused women, abused men. I personally have never asked a person who came to me for help. I have never asked them what their political persuasion or thoughts were, ever. I would not do that. That doesn't make sense to me, and it doesn't matter to me. But it seems to matter to some of the people on the Justice for Clayton page who talks about this story.
I'll be honest. So the interesting thing with where I come from here is that my wife and I are 24 weeks pregnant. And yesterday, on our way to our ultrasound, our last ultrasound in California before we moved, my wife's been with her doctor for 10 years. It was kind of emotional. It was our kind of like last moment there. I got an email from some people, just and again, their intentions are really good here, and I respect and appreciate that. I got an email, asking me to reconsider what interviews I do, and I really took what they said to heart, and it actually kind of bothered me, because then I'm in my doctor's appointment looking at my unborn son on the ultrasound, an actual live real ultrasound, and not fabricated, and I'm like thinking about this, and it was like it's been a challenge for me to separate personal and business here, because you do get so involved in these cases. But I will say, I'm willing to talk to anybody about this, first and foremost, because first I have to protect my family, which means get this story as elevated as high as possible. But also, we as a society need to do a better job having conversations and not being stuck on what team we're on. I think we should all be on a team of truth. I understand that you come from things from a critical eye. Everyone's different, right? You have a critical eye. I will say, for anyone who might look at your channel and say, oh, this isn't the channel I wanted Dave to go on, like you said, crickets. I've contacted PR people. They've heard this truth. They've heard the story. They are very interested. And then crickets, because it doesn't always fit. It doesn't always fit everyone's, agenda of what they're looking to do here. But that's the media. On a person-to-person level, everybody in Bachelor Nation immediately wanted to believe Jane Doe here, and said, oh man, this is really messed up. But also the article is a little weird, and people started poking holes. Within 48 hours, everyone changed their opinion. I don't know one person in Bachelor Nation that believes her. 100% everyone changed their opinion. So what we need in society, and it's tough with this like nonstop 24-hour media, what we need is a little bit of a grace period to get the truth out there. So that doesn't mean believe or don't believe. It means just like, let's let the facts settle and then have the discussion. That actually happened here. That's why I think, even though it's got to be a bummer to the ego for people to say, I don't want Dave to go on your channel, I think the greater amount of people want the truth to come out and will see you as reasonable here. And that's a way that we can sort of mend differences. Megyn Kelly's not the worst person in the world. And not, everyone's not the best or the worst. We're all trying our best with the info we have. And I'm willing to showcase that. I know you are. And I think that's a good thing moving forward.
Absolutely. People who know me, now it is true that years ago, I was much more political. My views have shifted quite a bit. I actually don't care about politics hardly at all anymore, and I barely ever talk about it. I hate both Democrats and Republicans. I've become like I don't know, maybe an anarchist. I just want you to get off my lawn. Those are my leave me alone. My new my new political slogan is leave me the fuck alone. That's really just what I want. And I don't trust any of them. And I'm sure there are articles people could dig up that I wrote years ago that I would be like, yeah, I don't agree with that anymore. I'm sure there would be. I know I was way more rabid when I was a young person. I started writing when I was 20. And believe me, I supported George Bush back in the day, and I wish I hadn't. I can't stand that man now. So I've changed a lot of my opinions, as people do. People change their opinions as they go, and I love opening up conversations between people who do disagree on things, so we can actually have so we can get somewhere, so we can find common ground, right? And I have a lot of people in my audience. My audience is 80% women.
Mm.
Let's hear it for the 20% who hang in here with all the estrogen flowing. 20% gets a round of applause from
You have more men
all
than
of
I
us.
do. I'm 92% women. I'm like, bring your
Well,
husbands. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, we have a lot of the similar audiences, I think, and a lot of the women in my chat are, they differ from me on a lot of things, but we still all come together around justice, I think. We talk a lot here about victims and abusers. And I am absolutely, if anyone was wondering, I am absolutely 100% against abusers. But abusers come in all forms.
Mm.
Abusers come in all genders. So it is dangerous to me, and that's what my book is about. It's dangerous to me to elevate one sex above the other and say that one is more believable than the other, because I have evidence after evidence, including the story in here of the Scottsboro 9. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Scottsboro 9, but it was back in the early 20s during the Depression era, where two white women, because they weren't supposed to be where they were, made up a story that 9 black boys raped them on a train. Those boys were almost lynched. Several of them spent many years in prison. One of them, I believe, died in prison. It's a horrific story. And it just goes to show that we must look for evidence. We must not take the word of women just because they're women. That doesn't make sense. We've seen history show us that that's a dangerous proposition. Now, I don't think women are worse than men. I don't believe that. I just think people are people, and people
Yeah.
can be evil and people can be good, and we need to just be careful.
One of my favorite quotes was Albert Einstein. I say it all the time. I'm going to butcher it, but he said, you either decide if you live in a friendly world or an unfriendly world, and you kind of get what it is. You get the law of attraction, and we have to mix those worlds. So you have friendly people that are duped. You have people that, the PPP loans might have been a good intention, but then there's fraud that takes advantage of it. People will always take advantage of others' good intention. That's what a con artist does, right? And you see it online with scams, Nigerian princes. I mean, this happens, it's so sad. I take it this way. You can look at gender issues and say, well, what if you reverse the genders? And you can use it as like an offensive way. But I say this: if men were the gender that gave birth in a small subsegment, 1 out of 10,000, whatever the number is, men would do the same thing that this small subsegment of women do, which is they would have whatever attached. Let put it this way: if you have an attachment disorder, if you have a mental health issue, a mental illness, if you have whatever it is that Jane Doe has, you would use whatever tools you can to get the other person to talk. I mean, she's threatened suicide multiple times to multiple different people to get people to talk and to get people to shut up. She's using every single tool she can get a hold of to attach herself to people. So it's not about not believing women or not believing men or whatever, but I do believe when the pendulum swings to justice, the momentum carries it past and can affect innocent people.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so let's bring back up actually my article, because I think that I was able to put it in my thought into words here pretty well about the difference between believing and what the real problem is here. I said it right here. Real victims of domestic violence and sexual assault deserve to be heard and amplified, and cannot be as long as people like Jane Doe take the space that should be reserved for true victims and not abusers. So look at what she's doing by calling law enforcement. She's been on the phone with law enforcement now for the last 2 days in Broward County, going after Liz, and that is taking up space for victims who should be able, real victims. She's going after Liz, saying Liz is harassing her and doing criminal harassment, all this garbage, which is not true at all. And she's taking resources that actual victims are now not able to access because she's doing that. So this is, I think this is the whole crux of it. She's taking up the space that actual victims need. And I'm here to advocate for those victims. Those victims need to be heard, and they need the resources that our tax dollars pay for. And Jane Doe over here needs to just stop, and she needs to be held accountable for all of this.
Yeah, and when you look at it at a very specific level, like with I got a hold of the Scottsdale police records, the domestic violence unit. She had dozens of Reddit usernames that she claimed were her exes, Clayton and Greg, and the domestic violent unit. I calculated they must have spent 12 to 15 hours doing all of this research and wrote it all up to prove that that wasn't who she claimed it was. But imagine if you have an issue and you're calling 911 and your ex is showing up at your doorsteps, and imagine if you have this life-saving issue where you need to get a hold of someone and they're busy, placating this other fan fiction story. It's just, you really do get to see that while in a perfect world, you can believe everybody and have unlimited resources, she's taking resources. There might only be 1 or 2 domestic violence unit detectives in Scottsdale. They are not doing what they should be doing because they are answering her phone calls.
Yeah, and her emails and listening to her mind-numbing threats that go on and on and on. I got to catch up on some super chats, and all of you who sent the super chats, Rumble Rants, and Locals tips are getting added to the wheel for the raffle for my book, signed copies. Squid Pro Quo sent $5 on Locals, says no 2 ultrasounds look alike, so for a picture to be that similar makes her look like a psychopath. Yeah, it doesn't, it looks exactly the same to me. I'm with you on that one, Squid, and you're on the raffle wheel. JL, thanks for the super chat. Says, Megan, I'm getting effed in the YouTube comments for my Kurt exclusive comments on juror number 1 interview. Would like to apologize. Hope it didn't bruise your ego. Oh, no, you don't have to worry about that. There's no ego here. You're on the wheel. Okay. Callie Sandy RN, thanks for the super chat, says, I'm so happy I found you a few months ago. You fired up the advocate in me. Saw Dr. Joe and Greg last night. That was a great interview about the Maya Kowalski lawyer on Dr. Joe Corcoran's channel. If you haven't seen it, go check it out if you're following that case. JL says, Megan is an anarchist. Noted part of the 20%. Thanks, 20%. Glad you're here and you're on the wheel again. You got multiple entries, JL. You're looking pretty good. M169 says, I'm thinking we need to bring back The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Maybe we can do an updated version, a gender swap, to let girls know the danger of crying wolf. Geez, that's a good idea.
Wow.
That's a fantastic idea. We don't tell those parables and tales enough anymore. I love it. Sarah Adams, did I add you to the wheel yet? Let me see. No, I didn't, but I'm going to put you in there right now. Sarah Adams on YouTube. You're on the wheel. Says, better get in on the action. Definitely, where I'm giving away signed copies of my book today. So if you want one, all you got to do is send in a Rumble Rant, Super Chat, Locals tip, whatever. I will have to make sure I open Cash App, though, because I'm bad at not checking that. All right. Brianne Wilson also says, most of us on the sub actually don't care you are covering it. Well, that's great. I'm glad. And I'm really, like I said, I tried to respond, but my comment was removed. I tried to respond to the criticism, and just to say, I'm actually looking forward to getting to know you guys. And I think that there's been a misunderstanding, and I don't think you're going to dislike the kind of way that I cover this story. I think you're going to like it. And I'm willing to talk to you about whatever you want to talk about. But unfortunately, my comment was removed. And Becca Lynn says, I'm a proud left liberal. Every story Megan covers is a blessing to the victims. Well, I certainly try to be. And I don't ask the victims what political persuasion they are, because that means nothing to me. Christina says, I'm a huge Megan Fox fan and I'm left leaning. Megan isn't for wing folks only. That's true. I really do want to bring Americans together. And actually, this is one of those things, Dave, that we all should be able to agree on, right? That the fact that false allegations are a bad thing. Shouldn't we all be able to say that?
I think we as a populace do. I think it's still the paid media that is like scrambling with how to deal with this. They're the ones not covering it. The audience is clearly here, you know?
Did you notice even in the articles that did come out reporting his Instagram post about there being little to no fetal DNA? Did you kind of notice how they spun it to for one, every single one of them I think there was a People article. Let me look them up because there's quite a few of them. They all said that the accuser stayed anonymous. That's not true. She didn't stay anonymous. She has a name, people. She has a name, and you can use it because she went public. She went to the press. She wrote an article on Medium outing herself with her photograph, which I showed you guys yesterday, where she made a bunch of allegations against Dave here for just doing the job that we expect reporters to do. We expect reporters to dig into the truth and ask tough questions.
Here's
and
some,
she's the one that she put herself out there.
Yeah, here's some breaking news for you. So yesterday when I was on Jeff's show, Law Vices, I mentioned, hey, keep the article up. Anytime anyone Googles my name, they're going to find the truth. Well, guess what she did today? She edited the article to not include Clayton's name and to not include my last name. So she's clearly realizes that her Barbara Streisand effect is not working for her. And I say, look, as much as I don't want to be smeared and called a cyber bully, I trust audiences. Like, no one has to see my side. Go to my Instagram and see the ultrasound videos that are fake that we shared. You know, everyone. Yeah, I know it's hack to say do your research, but audiences are not dumb, and they will continue to do the work, and they will come back to very high up source this week say that they initially found out about this story because her dad posted something on Facebook about me being this bad guy. And she felt a lot of anger about me. And then she saw Law Talk with Mike and she saw my interview there and she did a little bit more digging and she felt the need to FaceTime me and call me and say, I'm sorry that I thought you were the bad guy here. So I'm all for, she can shout my name off the rooftops right now because it's just going to drive traffic to the truth.
Yeah, I think she might have taken my warning seriously yesterday when I told her that if you make this bigger by coming after me, I'm going to monetize the shit out of it. And I'm going to make it even bigger. And now you'll have 5 to 6 LawTube channels covering it. And we'll do a big fundraiser. And we will laugh at you the entire way because you will lose. My last attorney was Robert Barnes. He will crush her if he has time, if I can hire him. But I mean, my sister's a lawyer. I'm not concerned about false and vexatious litigation against me. In fact, I really enjoy it most of the time because it's fun to be sued by morons when they don't know that they can't win. And it's happened before, Dave.
Yeah, and by the way,
I've written a book about that too. The last person who sued me got a 651-page book written about her. This is Shut Up, the bizarre war that one public library waged against the First Amendment. This is what happens to you when you come after me with vexatious litigation. It's not good. I got free lawyers in that one from Kirkland Ellis, and they wiped the floor with her. It was fantastic.
And you're the reason why I'm on the channel today. And you're the only reason why other people have heard about this outside of my niche. And I appreciate that. I think, look, like I said the same thing to her. I'm going to monetize every aspect of this thing. It's quicksand for you. You don't want to deal with me. She tried to use it against me, but I'm like, I don't care. I don't get out of bed without monetizing it. I don't take a shit without monetizing it. And every attempt she makes to make this go away is gonna strengthen my audience. And that's just the way it is. She got away with it before she messed with content creators. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that because, look, if a content creator who knows what they're doing knows how to take any controversy and turn it into a channel growing event. And that's what I will be doing. And I encourage Liz to do the same thing. I'm going to have Liz on the program next week, or maybe Friday, I said. Right,
Great.
Maybe Friday. Liz and I are going to talk about the attacks that are going on to her because I'm not going to let that stand either. I'm not going to allow Jane Doe to go after a 6,000 subscriber channel. And this is the other thing that bothers me about this as well. Although I don't really like the woke narrative in this country about race, I will say this. Liz is a minority streamer. It's a real bad look, Jane, for a rich white woman to be going after a struggling minority streamer. I'll just put it that way. It's a real bad look. I don't like to look at people with the color of their skin and judge them in any way. I think people are people. But I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think it's very tone deaf. I think it's very it's extremely disturbing to me. This woman has no boundaries, just zero boundaries. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. We are almost at 25,000 subscribers. Speaking of monetizing these events, let's go ahead and push this channel over 25,000 subscribers. We can do it, folks. We can. Shade Chaser on Rumble, thanks for the Rumble rant, says, you're both doing what needs to be done, exposing the people who lie, as well as elevating their intended victims so the truth can be sought. Keep up the great work. Yeah, and I am. Thank you, Shade Chaser. I'm adding you to the wheel also. Shade Chaser, Rumble. I am going to help Liz. I'm going to help her by following up with the Broward County Sheriff. I'm going to let them know what I know so that they can do what they need to do to rectify what has been done, because this is just absurd.
And part of my multiple things can happen here. I you used a little bit of shame to shame her, to say I'm going to wipe the floor with you, which is good. I use shame as a comedian as a technique to not make fun of her for anything she hasn't done, but just to call out the bullshit, and using humor to call out how ridiculous this is a good technique. It's one that's been used throughout history. But when you mention Liz Neptune being like a minority streamer, Jane Doe, when Jane Doe started coming after Clayton, I also started getting emails from a guy named Chase J. Jones, who says they go to Howard, which is a historic Black university. And Chase Jones claims to be a second-year journalism student trying to cancel Clayton Echard for dancing to a song with the N-word. Now, it's not my place to discuss whether or not that's cancelable in the eyes of the public, but everybody I've talked to said that's absolute bullshit. We've looked into who Chase J. Jones is, and we are desperate to find out. A VPN leads her to Paris. Her virtual PO box is in Seattle, and then the domain was set up in Tempe, Arizona. We've subpoenaed Chase J. Jones. They joined my Patreon on October 19th. We subpoenaed them both on Patreon and Google. Chase J. Jones has a motion to quash the subpoena. My attorney has asked Chase J. Jones at least 3 times to Zoom call with him to confirm their identity. And it's our belief right now that Chase J. Jones is Jane Doe trying to use race to cancel Clayton, which is just like, it's not you making this about race.
It's
she
diabolical.
tried to use race. It's diabolical.
And then going after Liz Neptune. And by the way, I put Liz's, I'm putting her latest video about the harassment she's received in the link in the chat for you guys. Please make sure you get over there and subscribe. Let's push her over. I think she's around 6,500 subscribers right now, and she's really funny and entertaining, and she has not said anything wrong. And in fact, she made a video with my exact thoughts into this, which was, we need to have a conversation about how and when you should be intimate with someone. And she's being accused of harassment for making that video. That's insane. She's talking about dating. She's talking in generally about how you can look at how these things can happen to you. That's what my book is about. The whole book is about, look what can happen to you. Be careful. There's several chapters at the end. The only thing I wish I had done differently in my book, looking back on it, was that I really wrote it for a Catholic audience. I'm a Catholic. I wrote it for my Catholic conservative audience. I never considered that it would go to a wider audience. And so I didn't branch out like I should have. And some of the things I suggested, like, I said, when you're raising kids, because I gave some parenting advice, I suggest you take them to church to give them a moral foundation. Well, any church, I don't care. But I think that religion can play a really important part in the socialization of people. So whether you even believe it or not, I actually know some atheists who are like, yeah, is a church because I like the social environment, because I think it's important. And I think that that's a good thing to keep them. and it doesn't matter which one either. So there are things I would have, I would change now probably because it's reaching a wider audience that I never considered. Look at this article though. So the Bachelor alum, this was in October in People. The Bachelor alum revealed the results of his paternity test after an unidentified woman, false, filed a lawsuit against him in September, claiming he had fathered her unborn twins after one night stand. So he made this video, which was maybe a little tone deaf. He should probably have toned it down a little bit because Clayton, what are you so happy about? You got yourself into a big mess. This made me laugh.
Yeah, like I feel bad. So I feel bad for him, but I've actually felt more anger towards some of the Bachelor alumni who made fun of him for this because I don't know what I would do. I mean, you know what I mean? Like the amount of relief he felt. Yeah, he should have gone. He should have gone on a workout, ran a few miles, burned it up. But like also, and again, I totally respect the point of sort of like getting to know someone before hooking up with them. But I've had one night stands and I haven't been through this. And I think it's tough because nowhere in the article does it say that she only blew him, right? And
it doesn't. And it also, there's nothing in here. All it is about this paternity test. There's nothing in here about all the other mountains of evidence that show she has fabricated all kinds of things.
Yeah, so the best I can do when I look at these celebrity gossip rags, like I had a journalist reach out to me and say, Dave, you're doing it all wrong. They're not going to report on the truth. You need to go to someone like Rolling Stones. Of course, they rejected my attempts. I got back, like their senior editors were like, interesting, but not for us. There aren't many places to go. It's like the story isn't big enough for some to want to cover it because maybe he's not Justin Bieber. And it's too scandalous for the gossip rags who just want to know who wore it best while going grocery shopping. So it kind of just fell into this middle ground of like no one wanted this. And of course, because it's weighted, So I understand all of that, but it sucks that in today's world you have to look at individual reporters to get information. Like people now trust me; they know I'm trying my best. They can't say that about people. They can't say that they're trying their best because they're just trying to sell advertisements. They're, like people watch my channel. I sell them on my truth. And then, yes, I get paid by YouTube, but I don't have to vet Pfizer. I don't have to vet whatever the ad, whatever is. I just get paid. You know what I mean? I don't have to deal with that. These companies, like people, like they have big deals that they have other forces that be that control what they talk about. We know that. And it's like, I don't know, like just to use Big Pharma as an example, they've absolutely grabbed the ball sack of all of mainstream media. And it's ridiculous. I mean, people come to our country and they go, why do you got so many commercials about Big Pharma? Because they pay so that they're not talked about. Like we need to know those things. Well, what agenda is there that this story isn't getting talked about? And why do a couple of YouTubers have to be the one breaking the news everywhere?
Well, Dave, welcome to my life. What do you mean? I mean, look at the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. We scooped the media, the mainstream press on that all day long, twice on Sundays. We had all the actual facts and evidence, and they had nothing but their own agenda. We embarrassed the LA Times. We embarrassed Taylor Lorenz. We embarrassed NBC and Kat Tenbarge because they were getting the facts wrong. They would watch 1 hour of a 8-hour court day, and then they would misreport everything that happened. One guy from the LA Times actually reported as actual news, and I covered this on PG Media, it was hysterical, that Jason Momoa testified at the trial. And he used the joke video. Remember the joke video of Jason Momoa testifying? Somebody put like a dubbed video there. The LA Times reported that this happened, and that should just go to show you that they never paid attention. They didn't even watch.
And part of it might be just there's no more money in traditional news, and so they're doing 10 things. I can't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes, but obviously those that really covered it showed the truth. I mean, I got put on lists. I'm still called a Johnny Depp sympathizer. I got put on lists with Umbrella Guy, and you don't want to be on these lists because they're using those to try to.
I just heard about these lists. I just heard that I'm on a bunch of them, and I didn't even know what they were.
I mean, I genuinely watched the full trial. And I said, I'm not going to give my opinion. A lot of pro Johnny Depp people were very mad at me because I said, I'm not going to give my opinion until I hear the cross-examinations and I want to hear both sides. I wanted to show on my little channel that I was going to participate as if I was a juror. And like all the jurors, I agreed with what they agreed with. It doesn't mean they're both great. I mean, Johnny Depp's clearly got substance abuse issues and all these other problems, but like she lied. She lied about pledging and donating, and we don't need to relitigate it all, but she clearly lied. And if I can't get on the same page with other people about that, I'm just not their channel. Like, I'm not for you if we can't get on the same page there.
She clearly lied. I mean, there's no ambiguity about that there. I do need to learn more about these lists on Twitter or whatever, because I heard that that's being used against me. I don't even know what it is. All right. So Sherry Burnt on Locals, thank you so much for the tip. Says, thank you, Megan, for all you do. I appreciate that, Sherry. Let's get to, Dave, what has been done to you, because I think the thing, I don't want to say, I just have to be honest. What bothers me the most about this story is the harassment you have received. Maybe that's because I'm a journalist too. I'm a content creator too. And it really upsets me when I see other content creators, other journalists being targeted for harassment and censorship. I love free speech. You have a constitutional right of the freedom of the press to report on any public documents, on any story in the news that you want to, regardless of whatever the subject of that story thinks about it. And so while Clayton is an empathetic, sympathetic character here, I think what really hooked me was what has been done to you. So why don't you tell everybody, when did you start reporting this, and when did the harassment against you begin by Jane Doe, and what actually occurred there?
Well, I'll start by saying this. I think you can be a victim and not play a victim, and I am certainly not playing a victim here. I appreciate that. I cover Bachelor news. It's just my niche. So when this article came out, like September 19th, I covered the article and I go, you can watch those videos. I'm like, oh, Clayton, say it ain't so. We've really liked him. We really defended him. But also, in that initial article, I thought it was already troubling that she claims she was afraid of her unborn babies. It read like fan fiction. I immediately was doubtful, but wanted to continue to hear things. And my response was basically like, I didn't want an audience of women to think I wasn't, giving this the respect it deserved. Luckily, they came to the same conclusion I did, which was that there was a lot of holes to the story. So I immediately covered it. Probably within days, she found out. Usually my YouTube stuff goes under the radar because a lot of people are on Instagram and Twitter and Reddit. So I make longer form content, and it's a little bit more nuanced because they're like 15, 20-minute long videos.
I love your videos.
Oh, thank you so much.
I've been binging on them.
I try to make videos. It's a short form world out there with TikTok. I try to make mealtime videos. You can put them on, eat a meal, commute to work. It's like they're long enough that you don't have to toggle through them. I'll get you from beginning to end. And that's just what I personally enjoy. So that's what I make. And I don't
think I've laughed so hard. And you're so funny too. Your Wi-Fi issues yesterday, or whenever you put up the last video about your Wi-Fi issues and your glowing junk, I laughed for a solid 10 minutes on that. I couldn't stop laughing.
I literally have my router pointed at my ball sack here, just trying to get as much 5G as, I'm vibrating at a high frequency. I've got sperm that are, have their own cell phones right now. You know what I mean? I'm ready to go. I got the hot spot, baby. I got the hot sack. And because I'm moving. So what happened? My internet was bad. I have a whole wall of boxes in my office because we're moving to Tennessee. And I was convinced that the Wi-Fi wasn't getting through the boxes. And my wife's like, are you insane? And I'm like, I need to get these stories out. And anyway, so she almost immediately got in touch with me first, second week. And it began as a negotiation. I was like, I want to hear your side. She would share me notes and whatever. And she would write these, but she quickly would get kind of volatile. And like I said, at one point I was on vacation. I took a few videos down because she claimed that all this content I was covering must be sealed. She never said it wasn't sealed. She said it must be sealed because no one has access to it. And at the time I thought it was. I quickly received, once I started to delete a few videos, which I didn't have a problem with. I make so much content. I was like, I'll delete a few. I'll kick the can down the road. I'll try to keep her happy, which is probably proved to be futile. But I started getting emails from lawyers that worked on past cases, from other people saying, Dave, I respect that you might want to do this. I respect your family, but you're on the right path. Keep going. So these private sort of compasses that existed to point me in the right direction would keep sending me emails, and I'd get some court documents sent to me, and it all started trickling in. So I haven't even had to go to the court. I mean, these things fall into my lap as I've become a journalist for this specific case. I have no intention or desire to do this in the future, but it just fell into my niche, which means it falls into my lap. And I'm the one person in Bachelor Nation that covers relentlessly whatever's going on. We have barrel scraping season where we might be literally analyzing the toe shape of Bachelor contestants. You know, is this a Greek toe? Is this an Egyptian toe? He's got the
thumb toe, a toe thumb.
So we went from literally analyzing toes to analyzing fundal height on an unborn fake baby bump. I mean, I don't want to know what fundal height is, but we've talked to neonatal nurses and people analyzing, and it's like, no, I didn't go to school for journalism. I have a degree in business, and all I care about now is telling jokes on stage and trying to make audiences feel good and laugh. And sadly, sometimes the videos are dark. And so I do the dark videos so that I can do the fun ones. And I had a stand-up show last week in Huntington Beach, and half the audience was there because of this court case, because they're following it. And I opened up with a joke saying, "Hey, 2023 was a fun year. I got featured in Time magazine, and then I got sued. I mean, what do you want? You know, now I can add to it that I got, glowing 5G balls. I mean, you just don't know what's going to come from it. But I'll say this. There's a reason why I do stand up and don't work in the business world, because very quickly I just learned that I'm not somebody who works well being told what to do. Most comedians aren't. There's a reason why Dave Chappelle turned down $50 million, because he didn't want a bunch of white men in suits telling him what jokes he could say on a TV show. They smeared him and said he went off to Africa and he was on drugs and all these things, when in fact he was just a comedian who didn't want to be told what to do. I don't want to be told what to do. That's why I make YouTube videos when I want, in my underwear, and that's it. And when she started to tell me what to do, she called me a shitty journalist. She says, my mom's an award-winning journalist. My dad's a respected radio broadcaster, all these things, which may be true, but they also might be complicit in their daughter lying and being a con artist. So I know that her family, from close sources, I know that her family has considered like what they can do with me and can they come after me and this and that. It's a dangerous place to be. It doesn't feel good, but I just got to trust that people are going to rally around the truth. And I think that's the only thing you can do.
Well, I think that's happening. I mean, I'm not seeing, it's not like Jane Doe has this like army of supporters anywhere. She's trying to create her own little army that's made up of herself and perhaps one or two of her parents. We're not sure. I didn't believe that email that allegedly came from her mother was actually from her mother that you read. I think she wrote it. I think we've seen her, as the lawyers say, copy and paste abilities. She is on, was it Echard's lawyer or, well, it was the same lawyer. I just don't remember which case it was, but one of the cases, they accused her of fabricating emails from an attorney. And
yeah,
I read through them and they're insane. Like, there's no way an attorney wrote that. Like, no.
I got up extra early this morning to make that video. And it was, again, from 2021. Joe Cotchett, his law firm, he's a family friend of theirs. It seems as though she hired him for a Uber lawsuit, which is also strange because she also claims to have dated the founder of Uber. Whatever.
Maybe she sued him too.
I mean, maybe, she gets in a one Uber pool. She says she's dating the founder of Uber. You know what I mean? The emails read like fan fiction. Yes, Jane, we do think you have a case here. You should have him settle right away.
We saw all your evidence and it was good.
Why wouldn't a guy want a girl who's such a catch? I remember you as a little girl. I mean, I covered this morning.
It was crazy.
It's disgusting. And I don't know. I mean, so they did their due diligence. They called the law firm, and the law firm just said, we don't want anything to do with this. And a normal law firm would probably, maybe team up with the lawyers and like want to put her in her place. But this is a law firm that, one of the founding members is friends with this family. So clear, maybe behind the scenes they said, hey, don't do this again. I don't know. She never did that again. But boy, is that convincing to get a letter from a high power law firm and finding out that it's probably not even real.
Let's look at the request for civil harassment restraining orders that Beetlejuice filed against you.
My first ever lawsuit. Look at that. The ripe old age of 38. Here we are.
This was filed in the Los Angeles Superior Court of California, County of Los Angeles. This says this. Now, I'm a little confused as to why this is scratched off here. Is there a reason why there's a line through it?
No idea. I don't know what that means, but yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, we can still read it. So it says, Mr. Neal, that's you,
Yes.
has mentioned my mother on YouTube. Oh, for fuck's sake, Dave, how dare you?
A public figure.
You mentioned her mother. Isn't her mother a journalist?
And they co-host their podcast together. So yeah.
Okay, you mentioned my mother on YouTube. Okay, not a crime. Not a crime, not harassment, not at all. You
are fake news.
Yeah. Patreon, you mentioned her on Patreon too.
Nobody cares.
And on his podcast, several times he has said he is looking into her involvement in my current pregnancy with Clayton Echard's twins.
Nobody cares.
Okay, which you're allowed to say that, which is not only senseless and intrusive. Oh no, intrusive, Dave. It's intrusive.
This is sponsored by thesaurus.com here.
But she is a private citizen. No, she's not. Her mother's a public figure. She has a podcast. That's
wrong.
She's a private citizen, and
I believe that's maybe her father. I don't even know who I redacted at that point.
Okay, who wants excessive redactions? Who wants nothing to do with Mr. Neal? Okay. Well, that's too bad. Mr. Neal is a content creator and this stuff is in public, so he can report on it. So far, I've heard nothing. So far, if I'm the judge, I would have thrown this directly in the trash.
I was surprised that spoiler alert, that they did in part. I couldn't believe that a judge actually reviews these things. I didn't know how it worked.
Yeah, I'm not sure though. I don't think that a judge, well, the judges just don't have time to do the investigation, which is why you're being hauled into a hearing, but it is ridiculous. Check here if there is not enough space for your answer. Put your complete answer on the attached sheet of paper. Well, we know there's going to be one of those, don't we? Because she couldn't possibly get all of her allegations done in one paragraph. Dave Neal is a popular YouTuber. Well, congratulations, Dave. And podcaster who has spread false information about me. I live in Arizona, but I'm being cyberbullied by Mr. Neal, who lives in Los Angeles. That's really, really, yeah.
You are fake news.
Okay. Tens of thousands of people who are his fans on YouTube of his podcast and who are actively involved in Reddit. Oh, she's also, who else was there? Who else was there? Description of harassment. This is good. Harassment means violence or, so no violence. Threats of violence against you. There's been none of those. Or a course of conduct that seriously alarmed, annoyed, or harassed you and caused you substantial emotional distress. A course of conduct is more than one act. Tell the court where the bad man hurt you on the dolly. Tell the court about the last time the person in number 2 harassed you. When did it happen? October 25th, 2023. What did you do on October 25th?
I probably woke up and made another video. I mean, I don't know. Every day I make a video, you know.
Oh, no. All right. Who else was there? The tens of thousands of people who are his fans on YouTube of his podcast and who are actively involved. So she wants to go after the fans too. Interesting. Check here if there's not enough space. See attached. Did the person in number 2 use or threaten to use a gun or any other weapon? You are so lucky she clicked no. Wow. Look, truth. This is amazing.
I used verbal weapons. That's what I used.
Oh.
Truth bombs.
Were you harmed or injured because of the harassment? Oh, well, we're yes.
Bullshit.
Okay. I have experienced, do you know what this was?
Probably, it was probably something I didn't want YouTube to demonetize, like suicidal thoughts or something like that.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's what, it was,
Sure, say it on my channel, why don't
Sorry.
you? No, it's all right. It's all right.
Quiet.
I have experienced maybe self-harm thoughts due to the
Yeah, there you go.
helplessness I feel in regards to Mr. Neal spreading misinformation about my reproductive history. Such a weird way to put it. Despite providing him with undeniable proof of my prior pregnancies, he has refused to believe it. Dave, are you required to believe everything people tell you? Is that a requirement here in America?
I don't think so, but we're gonna find out, right?
Yeah, I'm. It's not a requirement, ma'am. This is a Wendy's. Calm down. He has refused to believe it and has continued to create content alleging that I have faked pregnancies, which is untrue and proven by the medical records. I still haven't seen any medical records that prove a pregnancy at all.
Neither have I. I mean, she does have like random doctor's visits, but it's never the same doctor. She'll go to this Planned Parenthood. She'll talk to a neurologist and get notes made. Her therapist says, it's like it's always just like it's not an ultrasound. It's always something else.
There are no medical records from an OBGYN either, just screenshots of an appointment, which we have no idea if she kept or not.
But you can understand if you don't if no one's talking online, this is pretty threatening. I mean, to me, just a layman over here, I'm like, geez, am I being too intrusive? You start to question yourself here. Luckily, I have an audience and lawyers laughing at this, which really helps because you just don't know once you get the law involved if I'm actually in the wrong place here,
Yeah, I know you do start when you get attacked by someone like this, as I have been, you do start to think, did I do something wrong? But it happens enough times and you realize just to call it out for what it is.
Bullshit.
I provided him with this evidence. I have received messages that have made me have depression, anxiety, and sleepless nights. Yeah, no. Did the police come? No. Okay. Has the person in number 2 harassed you other times? No. This only started when I became pregnant with Clayton Echard's twins. Mr. Neal's content is all about the TV show The Bachelor, and Mr. Echard was the star of the show. This is the moment that as the whoever's in the court reading this, I go, throw this out. Throw it out. This is garbage. These are public figures. This is Bachelor gossip. This is free speech. No. Stop. Okay, personal conduct orders. I asked the court to order the person in 2 not to do any of the following things to me or to any person protected listed in number 3. Harass, intimidate, molest, attack, strike, stalk, threaten, assault, essay or otherwise, hit, abuse, destroy personal property of, or disturb the peace of the person. Well, you don't live anywhere near her, so you couldn't do hardly any of these things, I don't think. And haven't done any of those
I've
things.
never said her full name. I've never shared her face. It's whatever. It's whatever.
I have. We have memes. They're hilarious, but I won't put you in that position. I'll just send them to you privately. Contact the person either directly or indirectly in any way, including but not limited to in person, by telephone, in writing, by public or private mail, by interoffice mail, by email, by text message, by fax, or by other electronic means. Stay away orders. I asked the court to order this person to stay at least 100 yards away from me.
Gladly.
The other person's listed, my home, my vehicle.
I'm driving through her city on my way to Tennessee next week. And goddamn if she's at the same Denny's I go to. I swear. I mean, you know what I mean? Like you
gotta wear a disguise just in case. A little hat and sunglasses.
Oh, yeah, boy.
Little fake nose.
Stay away, please.
I am requesting a temporary restraining order to be issued against the person to last until the hearing. Now, this is actually important. The way that these temporary restraining orders work is that a judge will either say yay or nay. If he says yes, then you have to go to the hearing, and then at the hearing, it's decided whether it will be extended or thrown out. That's the way these things work. Has the person in number 2 been told that you were going to court to seek a TRO against him? Yes. Request to give less than 5 days notice of hearing. You must have your papers personally served to the, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Mr. Neal. Wait, I need my voice for this. Hold on. We're going to have
Mr. Neal has been posting defamatory content against me multiple times a day, and I wanted to stop immediately. He has been warned that if he does not stop making this content and defaming me in an effort to gain favor with Mr. Echard, that I would be obtaining an order, yet it has not stopped him.
How was that? Is that
Beautiful, right tone for sure.
not enough vocal fry though? She has a lot of
if you've
vocal
heard her
fry.
podcast, that's pretty close. Close.
No fee for filing service. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Let's get to the, I don't know if we're going to read her paragraphs and paragraph. Look at, so here's the, here's the attachment. But I mean, this gives you a good idea of what kind of harassment you can face when you just try to report what's going on with this story. And it's crazy. No, okay, Sarah Adams, this is a great question. Does she think she's famous? No, she actually continues to, while she has a podcast and like is absolutely a public figure and like is doing all this, doing TED Talks, and she still wants to argue that she's not a public figure and that she is private and entitled to some kind of privacy that no one else is entitled to, including Clayton Echard. That's actually really false. She is not a, I would say she was a public figure, but even if she isn't, this stuff would still be open for public scrutiny.
Yeah,
The
she wanted
law- yeah, go
both
ahead.
things. So like in the video I made this morning, re-looking at some of the Greg Gillespie court papers, she tried to get his response motion sealed, but not hers. She wants her cake and she wants to eat it too. She wants to be able to play the victim, but not air out anyone's response to it. It's just not how it works. But like clearly she lives in this delusional world where she wants to farm this content to be the victim, but doesn't get it, doesn't have to deal with the consequences when 99% of it's made up.
Yeah, it's very strange. I mean, not even private figures, though, have any more right to privacy than anybody else. If you end up in the news, guess what? Your right to privacy just went right out the window, because we have a thing here called the public's right to know. And so if you've been charged with a crime or you filed a lawsuit and there's a public docket, those are all public records. Everything is available. And the only way that is not available is if a judge orders that certain things be sealed, and they hardly ever do that unless there's a juvenile involved, which there is not in this case. She had filed a motion to seal the Gillespie documents, but I believe that was denied. It had to have been. I saw the response to the motion to seal from Gillespie's attorney, which was great. It was a terrific motion, and it just made the same argument I'm making, which is she doesn't have a right to this. She doesn't have, my client has a right for the public to know what's being done to him. That's his only way to fight back. So yeah, okay, we'll try and get through this quickly because I do want you to see how she does these things.
We'll go with my voice. Dave Neal runs a popular YouTube channel and has posted more than 20 videos defaming me. He is purported to have information related to my current and prior pregnancies that is false.
I do just have to say, though, that if you were defaming her, if she really believed that, she did the wrong thing. You're supposed to sue for defamation in civil court, not file a harassment order. This is using a harassment order for the wrong purpose. If she truly...
well, she doesn't want a defamation lawsuit because then, everything gets brought to the table here. So yeah.
Because then you get discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't want a defamation lawsuit. So she's using this falsely.
His sources are two men who I have restraining orders against and who see Mr. Neal as a resource for them to get justice against me.
Red flag, everybody, red flag. If you know a woman with more than one restraining order against people, run the other direction, okay? It's not a usual thing to have several restraining orders against people.
As a result of this content, I have received hundreds of harassing, threatening, and intimidating comments from his fans on his channel and his Reddit supporters, as have my family and their social media pages. He has incited them to rally against me for no reason. The issue at hand is a paternity case between me, a 33-year-old woman, and Clayton Echard, a 33-year-old man. There is nothing scandalous about it, but Mr. Neal is inciting his fans to believe that there is.
Au contraire, mon frère.
It's the most scandalous story I've ever heard of. Yeah.
It's the most dramatic Bachelor scandal ever.
Yeah, and if it
Where's
wasn't
Chris Harrison
scandalous,
when we need him?
yeah, we wouldn't be here if this wasn't scandalous, but here we are.
I mean, that's just like your opinion, man, that this is not scandalous. It's scandalous. It is scandalous all over the place.
I am a popular self-help podcaster.
So, a public figure then? I mean,
And since Mr. Neal began his smear campaign, it has received dozens of negative reviews, all citing the false information he has spread about me. Luckily, Apple Podcasts agreed to remove it because these reviews were clearly unrelated to the podcast and its content. I am also a domestic violence advocate and TEDx speaker on the topic. After being the most watched American TEDx talk when it was released, and after having only positive reviews, Mr. Neal's fans went onto YouTube and posted such negative reviews that I had to ask TED to turn off commenting, which they did since they were personal attacks and not based on the speech.
she also probably threatened to sue them or something. She probably sent them a cease and desist letter.
I have attempted countless times to get Mr. Neal to stop cyberbullying and cyber harassment. He agreed to take down 18 videos, but then continued posting daily content with the same information in it.
That makes me laugh. Good for you, Dave. Good call. Nice work. Good move.
He has also continued to say that he will repost the 18 videos that he took down. He has claimed to cover this paternity case objectively, while also claiming that the purpose of his content is to vindicate Clayton. And he even started a GoFundMe so that Mr. Echard could get legal representation.
You wicked, wicked man. You helped someone.
She made me look good here.
I know. You helped someone get legal representation. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Needless to say, he has not taken into account the evidence that I have provided him to prove that I am pregnant, and my explanation as to why no one else other than Mr. Echard could be the father. He has gone so far as to insinuate that I intercepted a blood sample in Tennessee that I had given for prenatal paternity testing in Arizona, when in reality, the sample was stuck due to weather issues.
You know, it's possible that a hurricane ate her pregnancy sample. That happened in the Maya Kowalski case. A hurricane ate the doctor's reports, so we couldn't see them. So this goes around, apparently. Hurricanes, they're like dogs, can eat your homework occasionally. So it's possible.
You just imagine her with like a hard hat on in the middle of the highway with just like a road closed sign. You know, you're like, what?
Oh man.
I obviously had no control over the mail.
You know, I refuse to believe that. I think she could control the mail if she truly tried.
He has also claimed my mother is involved, although I'm not sure what he means by that. Mr. Neal has said that as a comedian, he is worried I will come after him physically when I have never had any charge against me in my life.
That is a damn shame.
And I have certainly never threatened him. In an effort to prove that I was pregnant to get him to stop posting defamatory content, I sent Mr. Neal a photo of me showing my pregnant stomach. Rather than taking this into account objectively, he posted it on his YouTube channel and analyzed it. This meets the standards for revenge porn.
Okay, we have to stop.
And I think that's why she got the FBI involved. Now, she
This is
also,
crazy, Dave.
people have to know, the photo that she's referencing, she's wearing like a cheetah print bikini top. It's from like the neck down. I blurred out her face and it shows her belly. It doesn't show anything else.
But she sent it to you.
She sent it to me. She also sent it to other people. She also posted it on her public Dropbox, which she shared with the internet. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And of course,
this is why I keep saying to her, you're welcome to email me and send me whatever you want, but you have to know anything you send will be shared with the public in full. It's crazy that she can say a picture. And by the way, she showed that same picture at the November 3rd hearing, in a public hearing.
And that's the same photo that she used to get Clayton's order of protection. So she has a restraining order against him because of a photo she claims he shared, which he never did. She just publicly posted it. But this is her strategy, right? She wants to share things privately so that publicly I'll support her. No, you share things, it's all public. We need the audience to see what's going on here.
Goodies Gumdrop says FBI, yikes. Well, don't worry. He wasn't at January 6th or anything, so they won't come after him. Don't worry. I don't think he was in DC on January 6th. So there's little to no chance that the FBI is interested in Dave at all. I mean,
They
I
did,
just
but
don't
they
think
did
so.
respond to her saying that they would look into it. So then she used that to say, I've got the FBI investigating him.
Of
She
course.
just gets these half truths. My lawyer called the FBI and they were like, we're not investigating this, but it's still, but based on her side of the story, they did tell her they found it alarming what I was doing. So she's got that in an email if she ever wants to show that with other people. Like, so privately, who knows who she's sharing that with? I mean, if I ever got like a T-Mobile sponsor, she could go into them and say, look, I've had the FBI investigate this guy for revenge porn. Well, we don't want to deal with him. I mean,
Right.
I'll never know what jobs I don't get in the future because of her. That's something I can never fully trust ever again.
I feel like, I think your lawyer might, and maybe this is an idea you can talk to him about, might, because of that issue, petition the FBI for a written document stating that there was no evidence of any of this, because that is unfair. She pressured them somehow into putting it into writing that they were investigating it. She's using it against you unlawfully. There are FOIA requests that can be done for federal investigations, and I think if you're that might be a good idea, Dave.
I'm writing it down.
You can actually send in a Freedom of Information Act request for your own file at the FBI, and they have to give it to you unless there is some active investigation. Then you would know. So, and your lawyer, talk to your lawyer about this. But if you got a document back from them that said no responsive documents, that would be great. That would be all the proof you needed. And they do have to give you anything they have with your name on it if there's no open file. So why don't you try that? Let's FOIA them. And if you do it personally for your name, I don't think they can come at you with confidentiality issues. If I did it, they'd be like, they might say confidentiality. But if you do it and talk to your lawyer, and if you need help with that, I'm willing to help you. I know how to do it. And the kind of language you need to use. I'm a FOIA queen. And I do it all the time. I'm actually going to try and help Liz Neptune also to get some written documentation that what the Broward County Sheriff wrote to Jane was incorrect and false. So because she deserves that, because I'm afraid that Jane is going to try and use that against her as well. This is her MO. She pressures authorities into writing things down which are not corroborated and not investigated. And then she uses that as a weapon to say, see, there's abuse here. See, I'm backing up on the super chats again. You guys are awesome. You guys want these books today, don't you? Let's see. Where did we leave off? Jules. And thanks for the super chat. Says, my nephew is dealing with a baby mama who is telling the court lies and gets away with it because she is a female. It is unfortunate. We have a lot of that going on. Let me make sure I put you on the wheel, Jules. Are you there? I think I went through and put a bunch of you on as you were sending them. Yes, I did put you there. Okay. Lamb, thanks for the super chat. Says, thank you, Dave. I know there are a lot of people out there who really do want to thank Dave for the work he's done on this, especially because he's been doing it relatively alone, and except for Reality Steve, who, by the way, shout out to Reality Steve. I've always enjoyed his content when I was watching The Bachelor. He is the best for spoilers.
He's been fantastic. He's truly become like a brother here. I owe so much to him for continuing to do this. Other podcasters in the Bachelor world that normally cover these types of stories. I've said this before and I'll say it again. People like Nick Vial that didn't want to cover this for the last 3 months, but now want to interview Clayton. God bless him for getting the interview now. He's got a big podcast, but Jane Doe's unborn fake babies have more developed spines than Nick does when it comes to covering this story. he knew the truth and he didn't cover this for months.
Yeah, that's not good. that's really not good. Although I will say, I agree with you. I heard your video on this about, people are upset that Clayton is going on his show for the exclusive interview, but it is in Clayton's best interest to get the widest audience he possibly can.
I'm all for it. I'm all
And
for it.
I have faith that he'll come on with you too, because of all the help that you have given him.
Well, no,
I was actually surprised he didn't.
I
that
had
you haven't had him
Clayton.
on.
I had him on my podcast, Driving with Dave, several months ago when I was in Arizona. We talked, and it was at that point he was still being reintroduced to new lawsuits. So we cut out the 25-minute segment. But I will air that eventually. But there's so much new information, it's almost doesn't matter at this point. Clayton's been super loyal. He has gone to bat for me when he saw that I was getting dragged into this. He told me, just drop this if it's affecting your family. No hate against Clayton whatsoever. I'm all for him going on Nick's podcast. I'm just not going to rewrite history like Nick's some savior for having him on. Nick could have had him on 2 months ago, and I would not be sued right now if people like Nick covered this this case. I was the only one covering it, so I'm the only one who got sued.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, so I know why you think that this is a lawsuit, what she's doing to you here. It's not technically a suit. It is, though, a court action, so I get why it feels that way to you. And you had to get a lawyer, so it might as well be a lawsuit. But it's almost like she's getting around suing you by doing this bogus harassment restraining thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to cost her a lot less money to do it this way, but you're still going to get the same, well, maybe a little less of the harassment that comes with a lawsuit by just having to defend this harassment charge. It's a
Are you
little
trying
different.
to burst my bubble here? I
No,
thought
it's
I was
not.
finally
It's
getting
a
sued.
It's a little different. It's a little different because you don't get there's no discovery here. I mean, I don't know how this hearing is going to go. Like, when you actually go there, um, I don't know.
I put it this way, because I'll have to fly back to LA. I'm booking a fully refundable flight. I expect she's going to withdraw, but I say this, I dare her to see the speech I'm going to give on the court steps and air on my YouTube channel after the judge sides with me on this one. She doesn't want that. That's not going to be a good look for her.
Yeah, it is going to be. I mean, I'm just wondering I'm not familiar with how these hearings go. Like, can you introduce evidence? Like, has your lawyer talked to you at all about what the hearing is going to be like?
Well, it's been pushed a few times. It was supposed to be on Cyber Monday, and then it was December 18th, and now it's pushed again. Now, we fully expected she would still be pregnant. That's why we were like, why does she want to schedule this for February 8th? And then, of course, last week she says she's no longer pregnant. Kate convenient. So we're just starting to talk strategy, but we're really just going to compile all the evidence we already have. And I think part of the strategy too is, like, you only have so much time. So we're going to have a lot of things we're not going to have time to get into. So we're just going to have to be, like, very concise. And that's a strategy I still have to kind of work on.
Interesting. Okay, because I just don't know how these things work, because it's not like a usual. It's like a criminal harassment thing. Like, what court even is this? Is it a criminal court
I don't
or
even know.
civil court? I mean, this is just so confusing.
It's also like her first time dealing with somebody that isn't somebody she blew. So I'm like, I honestly think she thought she was going to get away with a temporary restraining order, but it's like, honey, we didn't do it. We didn't do it, honey. Doesn't she know I'm married? No one gets blowjobs when you're married. I'm too busy trying to, you know what gets me turned on? When the router works. That's what gets me going. So if she wants to get me going, come over here with some, give me some carbon fiber internet or something. I don't know.
All right, so the last two paragraphs are just silliness, more silliness. But let's go to the actual, what the court said about the temporary restraining order, because the court did respond. And the court said this: these allegations in the petition are conclusory, not specific as to date, time, message, and potentially involve core First Amendment concerns. Restricting potentially protected speech without a hearing could constitute a prior restraint, and that is a big no-no. A hearing will be necessary to ascertain if the communications are not protected, amount to harassment, cyberstalking, revenge porn, defamation, etc.
Denied. Sit down.
When I read that, I was at my mom's house. I was on vacation at my mom's house, and when I read that, I swear, like a bald eagle flew by. I could hear the flag starts moving in slow motion, and I could hear the national anthem play. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, they actually go over these things. I'm, because at the time I was like, oh, it's, in the court of public opinion, you're not always winning, but here with common sense in the law, they actually have my back.
Yeah, this is prior restraint's a big deal. Like a court cannot just order someone to shut up without looking at evidence. You can't order, especially not a journalist. Like we are literally protected in the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. Miss Beetlejuice, I can't remember to call her Jane Doe. I've got Voldemort going through my head. He who must not be named. She who must not be named. But
how about what if we call her Blow Rogan? We can call her.
Below Rogan. There's a First Amendment right that protects the press in this country. The press is allowed to report on things of public interest without government interference. A judge cannot possibly issue this order telling Dave to stop speaking. I don't think she understands how ridiculous it was to even ask. And I'm disappointed in this judge that he didn't throw the whole thing out and say, we're not even going to have a hearing. This is dumb. This is dumb.
Yeah, I mean, so she tried to pull the same stuff in Arizona. I don't know much about it, but I guess she doesn't have jurisdiction there. So she's tried. She's tried. I mean, she's tried multiple times. She's told me I'm filing this, I'm doing that, and this is where it stands. This is the only thing so far that's stuck for her, and I'm happy to defend myself. I've been so fortunate to have an audience that has funded my GoFundMe. I don't know if it's going to be enough to cover the legal costs, but early on, I received a ton of criticism from people saying, he doesn't need the GoFundMe. This is an open shut case, but like, look, here we are 4 months later. You know what I mean? So I'm glad I got the representation because Clayton didn't have representation at first, and we saw how that worked for him. So we're just trying to fight this as like strongly as we can. And it's been a big learning lesson for me. Not that I've done anything wrong, but just like maybe not to feel so threatened by people.
You should definitely never feel threatened by a cease and desist letter. You should simply read it and laugh at it because it means nothing. You could wipe your ass with it if you wanted to. It is not. Everybody out there, if you get one of these letters, if anyone ever sends you a cease and desist, you should just reply with one word: no.
I mean, the one she sent me was, and I was like, she was like, I'm going to send you a cease and desist. I was like, well, I'm going to need to see that. And then she sent one from the Bourne Agency, which, it was literally looked like a 1990s PowerPoint slide. It was weird fonts. And it turns out it was just like a guy on Up Counsel that was probably a lawyer, but, for probably $10, he slapped his name on it. And everything within the cease and desist was like, my client alleges this, and then he would just like copy and paste what she would say, and it was just like ridiculous. And I kind of made fun of it as like a Fiverr lawyer, which is what it was. I mean, if he doesn't want to be on there, he shouldn't be. I mean, it was ridiculous.
I don't care if it comes from the White House itself. A cease and desist is legally not binding. It's nothing. It's a letter requesting you to stop something, and your only response should be make me. You have to make me. You can't just say, hey, stop speaking. You don't get to restrain my First Amendment rights by sending me a strongly worded letter. That's not how America works. People who send cease and desist letters are not serious. If you were saying, I grew up, my mother's a lawyer, my sister's a lawyer. I know how this shit works. When you sue someone, you don't give them notice that you're going to do it. You just do it unless you're in a state where they require you to do so, because you do in some cases you do have to tell someone before you do the action. But in most cases, the part of the joy of suing someone is the one of my attorneys used to call the dangling piano. He said, I like to imagine that the person I'm suing is walking around town all day with a piano dangling over his head by just a small wire. And as soon as I serve him, it's like that wire just clips and the piano falls on his head. Because that's the joy of it. It's like you're serving someone and they have no idea it's coming, and then it ruins their day. And that's the whole point. You don't give people a heads up unless you're required to.
So the initial TRO she was getting against me was denied because she didn't file it right. But she then sent me a receipt of a process server she had paid like to wait for me outside my house or whatever. So for like a week, I was walking around with my selfie stick waiting to get it on camera. And I was like literally doing stand-up comedy shows, and they were like, my lawyer was like, well, these process servers, they're going to pretend to be one of your fans. And I was like, first of all, that's how I know it's bullshit. No, I don't have fans. No one's going around going, hey, are you Dave Neal? Like, so yeah, but it's weird. It's weird that, when I'm getting the mail and walking my pregnant wife to her car, that I had to, wonder if I'm being served. I had to tell my landlord, who I share this house with, hey, by the way, I'm being served. You immediately realize how guilty you sound when I had to tell my family, hey, I don't know if this is going to be in the news, but just so you know, this is happening. It is a complete, I mean, I don't have much shame in my life, but it wasn't a good look that I had to tell people that.
Yeah, it's not fun. It is part of the punishment that she's putting you through, for sure. It's happening with Harper. Thanks for the super chat. Says many women lie in family court. It's terrible. Well, I actually cover family court, and I can tell you that many people lie in family court. It's not just women. Men lie there too. Family court is actually a very easy place to lie, because it's kind of a kangaroo court that doesn't use the same rules of evidence in civil or criminal court. And so it's a bad place to be. Callie Sandy RN, thanks for the super chat, says advocacy is a verb and not a party. Oh, I love that. Go shout it from the mountains. Exactly. Whoever wants to tell the story should tell it, period. Welsh Lady, thanks for the super chat, says Megan, is there for victims and justice? Dave, I've been binge watching your channel. She is beyond the pale for this. It could happen to you next, people. It's quite scary how far she may take it next time. You know what scares me the most here is that if she didn't do this to Clayton Echard, who people sort of know, she could just keep doing this for the rest of her life, and it looks like nobody would stop her.
The old Greek mythology of flying too close to the sun. That's exactly what she did here.
Yeah, that's a problem. Abby, thanks for the super sticker. You're all being added to the wheel, by the way, for the raffle. You do have to be here, though, to get the book, so don't go anywhere. Stick around till the end for when I either run out of spaces on the wheel or we get to the end of the show and I'll spin it. Tracy Miller, thanks for the super chat, says, I finally made it to a live on time. Thanks for being so fearless, doing the work that you do. Thank you. I appreciate you. JL, thanks for the super sticker. Dave and Meg, what's the outcome of this? Well, we don't know yet. The outcome is the latest thing that's happened, the latest filing is a response to her motion to dismiss, which said she is no longer pregnant, conveniently. But the response to it from Echard's lawyer says, no, not so fast. You're not dismissing this out of this court, because now we need to know, where are the babies? Because you're past 20 weeks, you said. At November 3rd hearing, she said 24 weeks. And in Arizona, there's a law, and the law says after 20 weeks, you need fetal death certificates for either termination or miscarriage. So we're waiting on the response from the judge to that motion, trying to keep her in that court to say, no, you still have to prove it. So that's
he basically filed some paperwork that says if he is the father and she gives them up for adoption, that he'll be the first to know. And of course, he doesn't believe that there are any babies, but that's just the way of saying if she ever does claim to give these up for adoption, we'll know that that's just not true. And because she said she's no longer pregnant. She hasn't said that she didn't give birth to them, as far as I know. She just says, I'm no longer pregnant.
She didn't explain why or how.
And I think if she's claiming he's the father, I think he deserves the right to know what happened.
Oh, okay. Locals is making a bunch of memes. Here's one I can share that won't embarrass Dave, I think. So this one is hilarious. Also, JL sent the super chat that says, also, is MSM dead? Their lies are being exposed. I don't think they're dead quite yet, but I think they're on their way out. Locals, you guys cracked me up so hard. This is a funny meme.
I don't
It was
think
the
they're dead
fuck around
quite
of
yet, but I
times.
think
It
they're
was
on
the
their way
find
out.
out of times.
Locals, you guys cracked me
That
up
does seem to
so
be where we are right
hard.
now.
This
It
is
is
a
the
funny meme.
it's
I don't
the
think they're
find
dead
out
quite
stage
yet,
of
but I
times.
think
It
they're
was
on
the
their way
find
out.
out of times.
Locals, you guys cracked me
That
up.
link. Let's see. Hi, Dave, says Casey Cat. I love when two of my favorite creators cross over. Dave has been doing awesome coverage of The Bachelor from the jump. I'm actually really excited for this meeting of the different worlds on YouTube, because I love Bachelor coverage too, and I like a lot of these entertainment creators, including Dave. And it's fun to have our worlds collide like this and our interests kind of overlap. It's a fun thing.
Yeah, thanks.
Lil-
I mean, oh,
yeah, go
sorry.
ahead.
I was
No,
just gonna
you're
say,
good.
it feels a little silly sometimes. I love my Bachelor audience, but it is a really silly world that we're in. You got to carve a niche out. My goal is with the Bachelor Rush Hour podcast is for it to become more just the Rush Hour podcast and have a lot of news stories every day. So if anyone's watching this and you're like, interesting, but I'm not a fan of Bachelor, just know there's other entertainment news we do talk about. So you can hang with us and it's not just Bachelor content, but that's the niche that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, it's I think it's great. I think YouTube is great for all kinds of different opinions on all kinds of different things, and I think it's fun and great for when we all start getting together and supporting one another in this, because we're all doing sort of the same thing on different topics, and we would want somebody to come alongside us and say, hey, this isn't right. And that's what I want to do for others here. Lil Pill, thank you for the super chat, says, I think we need a new term instead of mountains of evidence. I cannot see Amber Heard's face. I can't not see her face whenever I hear it. She ruined it for everyone. That's true. Sarah Adams, Dave, your authenticity is wonderful. I agree. Legal Vices says 26 hours and Mark's safe from Nasty Grams. Me too. I've got nothing. Mark's safe from Jane Doe today. Laura M, according to my husband, I shouldn't get any more books. Well, too bad for him. You're on the wheel. I put you there. So Rogue Mama, thanks for the gifted membership. Welcome to the Fox Den, whoever is the lucky person. Appreciate that. Rogue Mama says, women who lie about SA in this hurts real victims. I think, yes, it can be the truth. That can be true. But I think it also gives us the opportunity to institute new ways to combat it. Like right now, any people in general hardly ever get hit with anything for filing false police reports. Jussie Smollett was one of the first people in a very long time to get real jail time for filing false police reports. And we need to get back to that, to taking small crimes seriously. And I think if the more awareness that comes to this, the better off real victims will be, because if we get serious about prosecuting the people who do this, then the real victims will be more believed, because there won't be any, we won't need to do that. They'll bring their evidence and that will be that. So it's like a mixed bag on that one for me. Jojo says, Dave, what comedians inspired you? I joined YouTube to follow comedians and found LawTube-ish streams that I'm addicted to.
My favorite comedian is Robert Kelly. He has a podcast called You Know What Dude, and it's just a bunch of comedians talking shit to each other. Bill Burr, Patrice O'Neill, they all came out of the Boston area. So those are some of my favorites.
All right. And Sarah Adams says, Dave, are you the father?
We'll see. I don't know. We'll see what the load of evidence is all about. Maybe these power sperm, these 5G sperm might have passed through a few throats in there. I don't know.
That's my favorite part, is the fellatio father theory. That's great. She's either the most, what's the word? God, how did that go right out of my head? She's either the most easily pregnant woman on earth who can and should be studied by science, because she can get pregnant through fellatio, and also only gets pregnant with twins. Somebody turn her into the National Science Institute for studying.
You know, we don't leave a rock unturned. We had this theory that maybe she ate Captain Crunch and it cut part of her throat, and a sperm kind of like, it's almost like a Pixar movie, like The Last Sperm. Yeah, it's like a little Ice Age kind of Pixar guy that's just found its way. But yeah, no, so far we don't think that's true.
Kimmy, thanks for the super chat, says, are all the people she's suing asking for her to cover their legal fees? Is her ego writing checks her bank account cannot cash? Are you going to be going after her for your legal fees?
If that's something I can do, yes. I actually don't know, but I do believe so. I believe so. I just don't know if that's something. I know in a defamation suit you can, but I don't even know if that's covered here. Again, maybe if possible, yes.
Ask your lawyer about sanctions. You might be able to file a sanctions motion, kind of like the one they filed in the Gillespie case. You might be able to do that.
I do know this. I do know that this week her lawyers asked us, like, what's it going to take to settle? And what she doesn't realize is it's not about the money here. And there isn't a dollar amount she can afford. Now, like, if she wanted to give me $1 billion, we'll talk. But like, there isn't a dollar amount in a realistic number south of $5 million that is worth my time, because it's not about the money. It's the same reason comedians, work for a beer ticket and a few chicken wings. It's not about the money, Jane Doe. So I don't think she can really understand that, because to her, I think it's about like a game, but it's not about that. So that's why there's no settlement happening.
If they come to you for a settlement, that's a really easy conversation. You say, absolutely, I'll settle. You pay every dime of my legal fees, and also sign this or write a letter apologizing for defaming me and admit everything I said was true. That's the settlement. I will settle with you and settle for nothing less.
Right.
And
Where
if she says no to that, which she will, because she wants everything to just go away, then I'll see you in court. That's fine.
she wants to see, she wants the settlement to involve NDAs. And one of our things that we've said is, come on the show, let's talk for an hour. And it's not even for, trust me, I don't want to talk to her. I don't want to deal with all of the nonsense, but that's part of it. Like, well, we've never shied away from hearing her side. When she would initially say, no one's sharing my side. And then we'd say, well, we'll share your side. Come on the show. And she goes, I don't believe you've got good faith for, and then she kind of skirts out of it. She doesn't want that.
Yeah, that's silly. It's funny, though, that she is looking for a settlement. She knows the way this is going. Duncan, Idaho says, what do you mean you've seen no medical records? She presented the screenshot of the scheduled doctor's visit. What more could you want? Jojo, thanks for the super chat, says, what was her job before podcast? If Megan could ask, what would you say you do here?
What would you say you do here?
Yeah, I believe she rides horses. This brings up another issue. Some little birdie sent me an email this morning with a link to her horseback riding. She's a horse jumper. She was jumping horses as late as September of this year. She took 6th place at some horse jumping competition, pregnant with twins, jumping.
Yeah, and she actually tried to present, or whatever they call it, her horse a month later in Vegas, and everyone was on top of it and snuffed her out. She tried to race under a pseudonym. She actually changed her horse's name, and sadly there was like so much attention her way that I think they kind of smoked her out of her hole there, and she didn't race. But yeah, when you're pregnant with twins, it's obviously considered like an at-risk kind of childbirth from the get-go, and probably shouldn't have been jumping on top of a stallion. Probably shouldn't be doing that.
There is the issue, though, of it seems like she has an unlimited treasure chest to pull from to do this litigation, to harass people. She seems to come from an immense amount of wealth and privilege somehow. I don't know if her parents are paying for this. It doesn't really seem like her podcast is all that popular. I don't know where the money is coming from, whether this is something her dad, if she's has trust fund or whatever, but it does feel like because of that, because we all know that she's been able to fund many lawyers and all of this for years and years, the only way to stop this is to hit her in the pocketbook so she cannot do this anymore. And that's going to take civil lawsuits. It just is. That's the only thing you can do to hold somebody like this accountable, is a civil lawsuit. So
yeah, we don't know what she's got. I mean, her dad made good money as a radio host, and they moved from a $3 million home to a home just south of $1 million. And she lives in like the back house of their families. They basically buy horse. Yeah, that's right. They buy horses. They kind of like train them and fix them up, and then they sell them. I don't think there's that much money involved. I mean, they've been seen on like Facebook Marketplace paying $18 an hour for like a horse trainer. I don't think that she's got that much money. I think what she's doing, which is actually even more sinister, is I think she's getting money from different victim advocacy groups. And I think that's who's supporting her, because they believe her, because they don't know the real truth.
Oh God, we need to find out what those
and
are.
I don't know if that's true, but there's been allegations by others that she had the ACLU kind of helping her, and organizations that want to do good, but they're just not understanding. Maybe someone cuts a check.
I would be surprised if the ACLU was involved, because they don't get involved in family court cases generally. I would be very surprised if they were involved, but I would not be surprised if it was like she did mention in that TED talk reaching out to some like domestic violence shelter.
Yeah.
But if that is happening, I mean, that is something worth investigating because that makes me feel sick inside. There are
She's
women who need those
she showed
resources.
some of her she showed her hand when she threatened me with defamation, saying, I've got plenty of organizations that find this very interesting that would back me. So I think that's what she does and get some money there. Her dad's been, sadly very sick for a long time. And she's claimed openly, you've seen in the court documents, that her dad had a gambling problem, bets on horses. So I don't know how much money she has or doesn't have. But clearly a lot of what she's doing, like she has lawyers with me, but her lawyer with Clayton dropped her. So she has no lawyer there. So, she initially filed her paperwork with me with no lawyer, so short of paying a couple $100 to serve me papers, which she probably got refunded because the restraining order was denied. I don't know if it's costing her that much money, which is even scarier.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's worth investigating for sure. Hempland, Texas, thanks for becoming a new member. Welcome to the Fox Den. That is what a fox sounds like, by the way, Dave. I don't know if you know about that, but that is what a fox actually sounds like. It's the most unfortunate sounding animal in the entire world.
I've only heard foxes laugh on TikTok videos.
Well, they make this awful screaming noise too in the middle of the night. And I live in the country. I live like way out in the middle of nowhere. And so foxes, and I have chickens, so foxes are around. And when they scream, it will sometimes jar you to the point where you think someone's being murdered outside. It sounds like a screaming woman. So I had to put that in here because people, I'm like, what kind of noise am I going to use for the fox den? Well, it has to be a fox, and everyone is always so everyone's always so uncomfortable with that sound. They're like, what is that? But I hate to say that is what the fox says.
Well, good to know. You never know when you'll need to know what the fox says.
You never know. Hempland, Texas, thanks to the super chat, says she's definitely cray. Why on earth does anyone believe anything she says? Well, I don't think anyone really does, except for these people in authority, which is so weird. You would expect our police officers to be more skeptical and more, less trusting of just anybody that comes around. And you would expect the FBI to do, well, I guess I don't expect the FBI.
Well, I'll tell you what, the
Scottsdale
police, when I read the police reports, I was not expecting what I saw, which was they did their research and said, she's not providing any evidence about this. Like they show up when they're called, but then they write their police reports. And I was actually surprised. I was like, maybe obviously in Florida, there was other places where the sheriffs are, not getting the full scoop, but maybe in Scottsdale, they at least know what they're dealing with at this point.
Her name has to be on a list somewhere at that police station by now. And I just wish that there is what police documents are those, Dave? Where did you find them?
I'd have to dig them up. They're in a video somewhere, my 1,000 videos.
Well, because if they were false and the police are acknowledging that there's no evidence to this, people could start to go to the district attorney there and request that she be charged with filing false police reports and wasting taxpayer resources. That's really one of the only people that keep asking me since I started talking about this. Why hasn't she faced any criminal repercussions? The only criminal act that I can see here so far is the filing of false police reports. That actually does come with statutory punishments. But you got to find somebody who wants to press charges, and that's going to be a district attorney in her county or whatever, the county attorney. But they are an elected position. So that means you can reach out to them as a citizen, especially the people of Scottsdale, to say, we believe our tax dollars are being misspent by this vexatious person. Please look into this. Here's a copy of all of the police reports and what the police said, and please charge her finally. That might be one way to actually get something on the record about that. So Duncan, thanks for the super chat, says it's really crazy when someone writes a long complaint like this, which basically uses evidence and arguments only things that make her look bad. Yeah, it's a bizarre thing. It wasn't very well written. Warrior Biatch says, I really want that book, baby. Thank you for everything. Well, let me make sure that you're on here. I think Duncan gets another. Yeah, I got you, actually. You're already on there. Okay, I was doing my homework. Wonderful. Casey Cat, thanks for the super chat, says she's absolutely Looney Tunes, and that makes her especially dangerous. Be careful, Dave. As we already know, people can scream lies and ruin careers. Turd girl. Who's turd? Oh, Amber. They can, but there's too many eyes on this now. I think that the protection Dave needed is the protection he's getting now from this wider community of law tubers and people who, I'm law tube adjacent, people who know know the story now. I think that the protection he needs is just the wider audience understanding what is happening here. I think this screen name is hilarious. Team YouTube, thanks for the super sticker. I appreciate it. You are on the wheel for the book. Been there, done that. Thanks, Dave. I'm a new follower of yours. Thanks for the super chat. Been there, done that. I encourage everybody, and Dave's YouTube page is in the description of this video. Please go there and subscribe. Double Trend, thanks for the super chat, says women like her give the rest of us a bad name. It's past time for her to be stopped. Thank God she doesn't have actual children with these men. With all the pregnancies she has alleged, which it appeared, Dave, there was another man before Greg Gillespie.
Enter Mike.
Did she accuse him of fathering children?
You know, he's kind of like that elusive white buffalo here that we don't know too much about, but she did have, I think he was the reason she has the TED Talk. I could be wrong, but I do believe he had a very similar report of what initially went down, which was relationship ended and she would not accept that reality. I don't know. I wouldn't want to say it here, but I have covered on it. Mike, I feel like Mike is getting ready to talk. I feel like he's close to sharing his story, which will reflect similar scenarios as to the others.
Well, Mike, if you're out there and you're listening, I'm happy to talk to you on the record, off the record. I'm happy to talk to you and give you the support that you maybe lacked for a long time. And I'm sorry that there was nobody there for you when you were going through this. But I do want you to know that we believe you. We believe you. We believe you. We know you're the victim in this case. And I don't want you to be scared to come forward. Only good things can happen going forward from here. What I am concerned about are the number of men who may be out there that this has happened to, either by her or other people, and they haven't come forward because they are concerned. Oh, hold on. Oh boy.
An email from Jane Doe, maybe?
Hold on. Whoa.
You know, it's good when you're scrolling through the Apple Watch here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I put in a call to my sheriff this morning because I know him, and I have a good relationship with law enforcement. You have to, doing what I do. And I just got a response from him that they're aware. Dispatch is definitely they're aware of what could happen, and everybody's aware. So we're good. I don't think anything has happened yet, but just in case, I got a little nervous. I was like, oh God, did they get a call? But no, not yet. Still nothing, but the sheriff is aware, and they would not, he actually told me that they would never be doing anything for an out-of-state call about harassment, by the way. Isn't that interesting? So Broward County does, but if our sheriff, we have different laws here in New York, though. We have a lot of laws that protect journalists, and so it's possible that it's just a matter of statute, and I would have to look that up. Tank Rat for the huge super chat, 100 something AED. What is AED? Is that Australia? I'm not sure. Thanks to Vices for dropping me off here. I've started to question society before this crazy pile of a case. The youngins are in need of a beating. So a public person is PO'd over criticism or trolling. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a little hard to understand. Tank Rat, thanks so much for the super chat. Casey Cat, I love watching Dave driving around in his car with the very cool windows on his roof, interviewing people. I haven't seen those.
Yeah, it's my it's called Driving with Dave on the Dave Neal Show. I just I have a 3-camera setup and I interview people and we just drive around town.
Oh, I got to watch some of those. Those sound fun. Those sound a lot of fun. Callie Sandy, RN, thanks for the super chat, says maybe the twins are centaurs. Just asking. That's always a possibility. And Casey Cat says, I'm 67 years old and learned you could get pregnant from a BJ today. Darn Catholic education. I want a refund. Right? And Chris Rowland, thanks for the super sticker. Appreciate it. We finally got through them all. Wow. Dave, how much more time, if any, do you have?
I can go a few more minutes.
All right, cool. So you're going to go, when's your date? The hearing date, the big date that you got to go
February
talk to
8th.
this judge?
Yeah, February 8th.
One of the things that she has said recently is that you telling people the date she's going to be in court is some kind of harassment. It's like, man,
Well, actually,
it's
so
on the docket.
I think what you're referring to is her deposition date. So January 17th, she's set to be deposed by Clayton's lawyer in Arizona. So that's the date that she said, well, everyone knows where their law firm is, so it's harassment. And I was like, look, why don't you get your good pal there, your ex-boyfriend who owns Uber, to get you an Uber and drive you to the place? I mean, it's not harassment that people know these things. And I've always said to my audience, like, don't give her any of these weapons of like contacting her, because she's going to use it against me. But yeah, she's trying to expedite the motion to dismiss her case so she doesn't have to be deposed. But it looks like that's going to happen next week, which is very interesting. I guess
Has the judge
Wednesday.
responded at all to the motion to quash, and the response to the motion to quash, the deposition, and also the response to stop the motion to dismiss? Do we have anything from the judge?
No, and I'm usually the first person to hear, so I have yet to hear. My guess is that would happen very soon. And they both sides argued case law about why it should be dismissed and why it shouldn't be. But it looks like it's going to go I would imagine it's going to go forward. I imagine the judge is curious, like the rest of us, to see how this plays out. But I could be wrong. I don't know. We'll see.
JC Chappie on Local sent a tip, says another entry for the wheel. Also, now I'm wondering how many Chappie Juniors I got running around now that BJs can get a woman pregnant. This is all new. We may have to launch an entirely new sex education program. I used to think that sex education was too comprehensive, and now I'm thinking, well, my God, no one knows enough about this process. Apparently, we know nothing about biology anymore. And we need to remedy that. I don't know. JC, you're going on the wheel. Thank you so much for that, sir. Appreciate it. All right. Locals. Wow, the wheel is full today. Oh, and I will check Cash App and Venmo at some point here. But while we have Dave, I want to keep on going with him and make sure that we've covered absolutely everything we can. Checking on the article that I wrote today on PJ Media, because this is the first, if I'm correct, is this the first article like that kind of hit the wider press? It is a national publication. It's trending at number 2 right now.
Wow.
So that's good. That's
good. I
good.
mean, there were some reposts of her Medium article that were garbage. But no, this is it. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for the first one
that's put all the evidence out there as far as like what's going on, because I'm hoping others will follow now that I've done it.
It looks like it. I mean, yeah, I appreciate that you put this out. You did a good job. I know last night I heard the article. You read the article to me, and it's hard. It's got to be hard. I know for me, I've made 100 videos. If someone asked me for a 5-minute version, I have a hard time articulating it. There's too much. So you did a really good job of breaking it down into a bite-sized article for the new person entering this world.
That was the hardest thing to do. And then when I was editing it, oh God, I was editing it and I was like, oh, but I should add this thing. Oh, but what about this thing? And like, you have to know when to stop, like it's too much. The story is so crazy. You just can't keep. I could probably write 10 articles, maybe more, about this. And I did reach out to the lawyer, Mr. Woodnick. I am hoping to do a follow-up article. I would like to get a statement from him about her allegation against him. I'm wondering if he would like to make one, since it's out there. And so hopefully there will be more coming. Lois, I see you on Cash App. I'm adding you to the wheel. Lois says, "For we want privacy." That's right. I finally got to use my button.
We want privacy. We want privacy.
This is like this is Jane Doe's theme song, is that she wants privacy, but she doesn't deserve it. She doesn't. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. She's a public figure. So Lois, I'm getting you on the wheel. Lois from Cash App. All right. So, all right, let's talk about the personal effects that this has had on you. Now, keeping in mind that this type of reaction, like, I believe that Jane does this for one reason, well, a couple of reasons, but I think one of the main reasons is I think she gets a rush. I think she gets fuel from causing people anxiety and fear. And I think it's a control thing. I think when she can't control you and she can't scare you, she may lose interest. I know you've talked publicly a little bit about how this has affected you. You've never been through anything like this before. So you're a newbie to the lawsuit arena. Your wife is pregnant, you're expecting your first baby, and you're moving, you're having all this stuff going on at once, and you've got this thing coming up. How are you doing? How did it affect you when it's first happened versus how are you feeling now? Because I feel like that probably changed.
Thanks for asking. It's definitely been a learning and growing experience. I've had to do within my Bachelor crowd before this. I've had to do a hell of a lot of learning about not needing everyone to be a fan of mine, and the idea that what other people think of me is none of my business, and also the idea of letting other people be wrong about me is something I've really had to address and continue to. Today, tomorrow, the rest of this week will be a holiday from me reading comments. Because I know after our interview's done, I feel good about it, and that's all I need to know. So it has been complicated getting so many different opinions from people. Whenever I get thousands of DMs from well-meaning people, and I really appreciate it. Some hit me really close to the heart, and some I just can't respond to. I've learned from this. When I posed a question earlier about living in a friendly or unfriendly world, this unfriendly experience has taught me that I do live in a friendly world. It has united so many people. We have done donations to different pregnant moms, young moms out there. We do a Christmas wish list. We had a 24-year-old single mother who's having a baby next month, and they raised her 50 different gifts from her Amazon gift list, including very expensive cribs. I mean, we've seen the generosity of humans pour out, and I just keep on telling people this. If this sort of negative energy can affect anyone, make it positive in some way. So net feeling is good, but I have had bad days, and I've just had to be like, all right, time to unplug, take the Apple Watch off, and go for a jog. Get out of this. Get out of it. So I've had to kind of protect my wife, and she's the type that can worry, and but for the most part, she's been absolutely phenomenal. She's been gracious, and she's been patient and kind. And if I didn't have her blessing, we probably would have deleted all these videos, because in the end, I got to protect her first. And she's glowing. My wife's just this gorgeous, kind person. And our baby's due on my birthday on May 1st. And we're just
so great.
We're just so excited.
And this is your first baby, right?
First baby.
How long have you been married?
We've been married now for just over a year, but we've been together. We've been together for a long time and got engaged right before the pandemic. And we've been together for a long time. We've gone from living in a studio apartment together to this little 2-bedroom, buying our first home. So a lot of life goals and accomplishments are happening, all things we're proud of, all things because of our community that supported us for the last couple of years. And we wouldn't be able, I always say this as a comedian, I wouldn't be able to perform without an audience. And the folks that have joined our Patreon and supported us and donated to the GoFundMe's, it's like the amount of gratitude I have. It's a net positive, but I've had to learn a lot about, letting go someone else's hatred for me, and knowing that it's just a vehicle for her to try to get what she wants. It doesn't have anything to do with my personality. I'm not offended by her calling me names and this and that. And we're just going to continue to let the truth, be publicized and let people see how it plays out.
I think it's very obvious that you have a happy relationship, and I'm very happy for you. Congratulations on the baby coming. And, making a family together is one of the most amazing, magical things. I have 3 children. I've been married now for 23 years. To the same person, and it's every time, it's great to have somebody there who has your back. I actually did have to tell my husband about this possibility of what might happen, going forward. He's used to this kind of shenanigans with me, though. He just gave me the eyebrow and was like, again, but it's good to have a supportive spouse. My husband is always of the opinion that he just lets me be me, because there is no other choice, really. And it's good to have somebody who can do that. And I would like to encourage your wife not to worry, because we've got your back. And now that we have your back here, there is nothing but good coming for you, Dave. There's nothing but good things coming for you. This is going to end. It's going to end soon. And hopefully she won't be able to do this to anybody else ever again. And we'll keep an eye on her, that's for sure. All right. Where do you want people to go? How do they find you? How do they join your Patreon? What's coming up for you next? All the things.
The best free way to support me is to subscribe to my podcast, Bachelor Rush Hour. I'll be recording my afternoon episode as soon as we finish. I will be talking about this. I will be giving my post-show recap. Bachelor Rush Hour, all entertainment news, twice a day, morning and afternoon. The channel is just Dave Neal. You can go find me on YouTube and Patreon.
It's in the description.
I always make my podcast while I'm on Patreon, and that's just my sort of private membership community. It's $5 a month. Patreon.com/Dave Neal. The amount of people that have showed support through that way has been amazing. It's covering all of my legal costs. And as far as live stand-up shows go, I'm going to be all over Tennessee now that I'm moving there, Alabama, Nashville, Kentucky. I mean, I'm going to be all over this new market of mine. So just follow me on Instagram at DNeals, and I will be posting all my show updates and all that. So I really appreciate.
What made you choose Tennessee?
Well, it's close to my wife's family. She's from Kentucky, so it's close enough, but also a very a nice up and coming place to work from home. So they have big homes there. So upgrading the home office, a little better on the taxes. It'll be nice to be closer to family, closer to the East Coast. It's basically the only place we were considering. And we went and I actually did a podcast while I was there. Caitlin Bristow's Off the Vine. She's a big podcaster from the Bachelor world. I was there in May and I was like, oh, I kind of like it here. I met some comedians, had a fun show. So let me bring the lady back. We toured a dozen homes, put an offer in, and we're buying our first home, which, by the way, in today's world, it is not easy to buy a home. It is ridiculously stacked against people. So we're just grateful to finally get our foot in the door and trying to, get out of the renter's world we've been in for.
I'm excited for you guys. This is a really exciting time in your lives. This is really fun. And I wish nothing but the best for you. And if you need anything from me, all you got to do is ask, and I will platform anything you want. We will talk about whatever you got going. I think you've done excellent work on this story, and we wouldn't know about it without you, Dave. So great job.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, we'll let you go, and I'll finish up the wheel of book giveaway here, and we'll talk to you later, Dave. Everybody go check out Dave Neal on YouTube and his podcast, Bachelor Rush Hour.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. All right, guys, we've got one more on locals. Squid Pro Quo says squats are done. Squats are done. Well, I didn't do my squats and neither did you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do our squats. And this is your last chance to send in super chats, Rumble Rants, Cash Apps, Venmos, locals tips for a chance to win a copy of Believe Evidence, the Death of Due Process from Salameda, #MeToo. And we are going to do squats. You got a minute and 22 seconds to send in your final super chats. And then I'm going to start spinning the wheel. We're going to give away 2, maybe 3 books. It'll be fun. Let's go to Nick Ricada's fat shaming us. Where's my video? Here it is. Get up. Time to get up. Do squats, folks. Do your stretching.
You impose fatness on you. You did it by going, oh, I want the butter on the popcorn. Oh, I want the butter on the ice cream. Oh, I want the butter on the sandwich. Oh, I want the butter on the salad. Stop eating butter. Can you just get up, walk 1 mile? Do squats! Walk farther. And if you can't walk, crawl, roll, get dragged by a goddamn forklift, whatever is wrong with you, just move. Ever. Get off the chair, get off the couch. No one is coming to service you while you sink into that furniture, while you become one with the pleather your poor ass got on that Walmart couch. Can you try not floating into sadness? Stop eating, stop drinking, start walking, start doing anything that you haven't been doing, you fat piece of shit.
I'd like to apologize to the Reddit listeners if you're not used to the fat shaming. It's all in good fun. We're trying to stay healthy, especially as we get older here. The joints get a little creaky, so you got to get up every once in a while. All right, we've got a few more to get on the wheel. We have M169 says, if TikTok can be believed, sex ed is lacking. Well, it is. If Jane Doe can believe that she could get pregnant through fellatio, that's a very interesting point of view. All right, let me add you here to the Wheel of Fortune. M169, you've got another entry. And coming up after M169 is Julie O. Mine is May 2. It's a way better birthday. That's Mr. Fox's birthday, May 2. Isn't that something? You guys are birthday twins, Julie. Julie O. On YouTube. Okay, and then we have Urza. Urza's art. I missed PT this week, so squats are essential. Well, we're doing a public good here. Now, listen, people, don't leave, because if you're on the wheel, you can't win if you're not here. I will spin it again if you're not here to let me know that you are here and you got my message and you are going to email me so I can mail you the book. You got to be here to win, so don't go anywhere. So great that Dave came on. I love having him. Hopefully he'll come back. Moni69, wheel pick me. Well, we're going to try putting you on the wheel right now. Then I got to check the Cash Apps and the Venmos because I always forget those. Jennifer super sticker. Thank you for that. You're going on there, Jennifer. All right. And Hey Joe says, I want to win the Wheel of Fortune. Well, everybody does. Wheel of Fortune. All right, and you can't win more than once here. So once you win, if your name comes up again, we spin again. That's how it's going to work. All right. Checking Cash App. Hold, please. Get my hold music out. No, that's not the hold music. There it is. I got Lois. Okay, so Lois was on Cash App. What about Venmo? Let me check Venmo. What's the date today? Is it the 10th? Haley, I gotcha. All right, Haley is going on. Haley from Venmo. Haley did not send a message, but she did send a tip. So let's get Haley from Venmo. Oh, PayPal. I got to check PayPal. Did anybody? Oh, yeah, I do. I do have to check PayPal. Hold on. I have too many things to check. For crying out loud. Well, while I'm checking, let's share the Wheel of Fortune. You can look at the spinning Wheel of Fortune. Look how fun this looks. Okay. We're getting close, folks. Getting close. Just checking to make sure I don't miss anybody. Aha. Heidi, I gotcha on PayPal. Heidi, you're going on the wheel. Heidi, PayPal. Says, thanks for the stream. All right. I think we're good. I think I got it all. Oh, but now you guys are sending more super chats. Listen, we got to stop this at some point. Scooty McBoogerball. I can't say that. Scrody McBoogerballs. I swear you send super chats just so I have to say your name. McBoogerballs going on the wheel. Thanks for the super sticker. Jojo says, don't forget PayPal. Thank you, Jojo. You get another entry. And Sunflower Day. All right, that's it, folks. I'm shutting it down. Sunflower Day. Last entry. All right, we're spinning. Spinning. We need some music for this. We need some fun music. No. There we go. Are you ready? Here we go. I'm gonna spin it. Here we go. First winner. JL on YouTube. JL on YouTube. Here are your instructions. You are the winner. You have won a signed copy of Believe Evidence, The Death of Due Process from Salameda #MeToo. All you need to do is email me at meganfox at, no, that's not my email address. It's meganfox.writer@protonmail.com. I'm going to put it up on the board for you. There you go. Identify yourself as the YouTube name. Tell me you won the book. Tell me how you want it signed. Give me a mailing address and I will send it to you. All right. All right, JL. Next winner. Here we go. Spinning again. Heidi from PayPal. You win. Same instructions. Send me an email. Make sure you identify yourself. Tell me how you want it signed. Tell me where you want it signed, and I will send it to you. Congratulations. One more time. Oh, it was close. Sarah Adams, are you still here? Sarah, are you still here? Are you here, Sarah? Oh, you know what? I forgot to check if JL and Heidi were still here. Are you guys still here? Because that's important. Sarah, Sarah, yes, there you are. Send me an email. Tell me how you want it signed and to who. Give me an address and I'll ship it out to you this week. All right. What about Heidi? What about Heidi? Do we have Heidi? Did Heidi check in? And JL? Did JL and Heidi check in? I see Sarah. How about JL? Is JL still here? Because you got to be here to win it. So you got to put no JL. Uh-oh. No JL. Okay. What about Heidi? Oh, Jojo, you're Heidi. Perfect. Okay, so Heidi's here. JL's not here. So we're going to spin again for JL's book. Ready? Here we go. Here we go. Haley on Venmo. Haley on Venmo. Haley, are you here? Send me an email. Tell me how you want it. Is Haley here? Hopefully Haley is here because I want to make sure I've got everybody. Haley, are you here? Actually, because it's on Venmo, I can send her a message. So actually, that's great because that's always my main problem is I can't contact you guys on YouTube, but I can contact Haley. So we're going to make sure she gets it. because I can. All right. I can send her a message, I think. Yes, I can. All right, cool. All right, guys, 3 books. 3 books are going out, and thank you so much for being here today. I sure appreciate it. Dun, dun, dun. See what else we need to cover before I go. Any of you who did win the books, make sure you send me an email, give me the name you want me to sign it to, and also a mailing address so I can send it to you, and I will do that this week. All right, coming up tomorrow, Thursday, we have True Crime Thursday. It was supposed to be True Crime Tuesday, but we got a scheduling problem. But tomorrow I'm going to be talking to the mother of Samuel Clements. He's a murder victim in Missouri. I think it's Missouri. Sorry if I got that wrong. It's been a while since I looked at the case, and I need to do some research on it tonight and catch up. I covered it a while ago. It was a murder that happened on a university campus right around the same time that the Idaho 4 murders happened, and yet it got no media coverage at all. And the perpetrator is a woman, and Sam's mother wants to talk about Sammy and who he was, and also about her disappointment with the media coverage in the case and what's going on in that case. So we're going to be talking with her, Jenny Riley, at 11 a.m. tomorrow. So make sure that you come here tomorrow and check back in. If you are not following me on Locals, meganfox.locals.com, you need to be, because that's where you're going to get all the notifications for when I'm live and what's coming up on the stream. Friday night, Sean McMillan, superhero attorney who sues corrupt CPS and child services and hospitals for kidnapping kids. He is going to be on this program with me. We're going to read through part 2 of his new lawsuit, Meyer versus Rady Children's Hospital. And he is so great. And after that stream, I'm going to redirect all of you into his stream, and he's going to be showing you depositions. I love his depositions, man. I watched that. If you like justice, you will like Sean McMillan's channel. It's Caps and Stems Law. He is an amazing person. Also on Friday during the day, I'm going to try and get Liz Neptune, see if we can coordinate to have her here to talk about the harassment she's received. And between now and then, I'm going to try and get some answers from Broward County to see if they are aware of this type of harassment that's been going on from Jane Doe towards her, or Laura Owens, as her name is. Her name is actually Laura Owens. Don't forget to share my article. This is very important, you guys, that I need you to share it on Facebook, especially because I'm not allowed to share stuff there. They shadow ban me or whatever. So, and this is where that, for some reason, that's where distribution is the best, is on Facebook. So if you have Facebook accounts, I'd really appreciate it if you would go share this article. We need to get the wider message out there. If any of you belong to bachelor groups or entertainment TV groups on Facebook, that would be a great place to share these things. Clickety click. It will help Clayton. It will help Dave. I did put I forgot to mention, but I did put Dave's legal fund. It's linked in this article. If you guys want to throw a couple of dollars his way to help him pay his attorney, I would appreciate it if you would share this article far and wide. And I was going to read through it today, but I'm getting tired. So maybe we'll do that on Friday. Or we may read through it, do a live read through on Friday. What time is it now? It's 1:30. Will we watch Bachelor episodes on Locals again? Well, so Netflix has now done this thing where I can't share it. And I don't know how we're going to continue watching TV together. I can look on like ABC's website if they have any episodes for free. That would be something that I could probably do. But yeah, right now I'm having difficulty with that because they've put blockers on everything now. So it sucks. Am I going to have to open a Twitch account so that we can watch Amazon together? I mean, it's so annoying. It's really so annoying. Anyway, join me at meganfox.locals.com. That's where all the stuff is happening and all the notifications are. You can follow me there for free. And that way you'll get all the notifications. You can then also sign up on a membership if you want to support the show. It's $5 a month. You can get a free month by using promo code Maya, M-A-Y-A, for a discount. As always, take care. Be nice to one another. Be friends again. Let's make Americans friends again. And visit that Reddit page, Justice for Clayton, because they got the dirt over there. That's where all the information is being posted. There's just all these little internet researchers just going crazy on this case. And I'm real grateful for them. I think they're doing a really good thing. And we can disagree on politics, but agree all day long that what they're doing by exposing this fraud is a very good thing. And I'm happy that they are doing it. All right, that's it for me, everybody. Take care. Thanks to Dave Neal for being here. Appreciate him so much. And I just make sure you get over there and subscribe, show him some support and love. And he's going to be on with Tug tomorrow. And I'm going to be on with Tug soon. Tug and I have never done a stream together. We were just DMing each other like, why haven't we done that? So Tug and I were thinking about doing a Me Too stream about the interesting way that we get, when we want to cover these stories about real victims of this abusive behavior, that there are like groups of people who don't want us to tell these stories. They want other media to tell them. They want their friendly media to tell them and not us, because we're seen as somehow less than or part of some narrative they don't like. And so we shouldn't tell the story of these real victims. And it's strange. Tug and I are real similar in that way. And we have stuff to talk about. So Tug and I are going to be planning a show together soon. We've actually been talking about doing one for the couple of years we've known each other, and we've never done it. So we're gonna get to that, and it's gonna be fun. Yeah, Tug and I have been friends for a while. We just never done it. His channel is That Umbrella Guy. Look him up on YouTube and subscribe. Check out his interview with Dave tomorrow. I don't know what time it's gonna be, but I'm gonna be there watching it whenever that is. So sign up, subscribe to his channel, hit that notification bell so you get the notifications, and I will see you tomorrow. Time to say goodbye.
Lost, my world is near its end. I almost felt my head is full of a million choices. I am alive, I'm not here to pretend. I love my friends, my heart is filled with a million voices. Oh, this road has many choices. Oh, and my heart, million voices. Come next to me, my friend, embrace the sky. I'm not afraid to fly. It's not the time to say goodbye. Say goodbye. No, I don't wanna say. No, I don't wanna say goodbye. My road is near its end. I almost felt my head is full of a million choices. I am alive, I'm not here to pretend. I love my friends, my heart is filled with a million voices. Oh, this road has many choices. And my heart, million voices. Come next to me, my friend, embrace the sky. I'm not afraid to fly. It's not the time to say goodbye. I don't wanna say goodbye. No, I don't wanna say. No, I don't wanna say goodbye.
problem is he should have come storming in there with a string of garlic and some holy water.
And a cross, a crucifix on it.
May the power of Christ compel you.
No, I don't.
He realized his house was infested with succubuses.
Of what it, yes.
Succuloters.
When you arrived in the afternoon. I don't remember saying it now. So while she
No wonder he said drown her before you burn her.
Oh my God.
Your next witness?
Now I know why you wanted to drown her.
Laces.
Next
That is
witness
also
lives in
by
Romania.
video.
Is that correct?
That begins with Miss